Yo, where's where's Major? Where's Major? Is my chat not working again? Playback, bro. Come on, bro. Are people saying something in chat? Wait a minute.
Shit. What's good with your young boys? Hey, man.
All right. Hello? All right. There go Mars. Come on, Mars.
How that drink? You don't know how that drink.
Wait a minute, thing. Jimmy, thing. Mm,
I'm gonna get off stage.
There you go, buddy. There you are. All right, Major
Yeah.
screen.
Yo, Rod, nobody's dunking, nigga. You trash.
Hey, you put another one of them in the chat. Z07 and all the Tank Jones, all y'all, I'm banning you.
Bruh. Freedom of speech, yeah.
Ain't no freedom of speech.
God damn.
Y'all heard it.
There we go. All right, wait, hold on. Let me intro the.
Oh, let me leave stage.
All right, bet. Welcome back to another video, and this time around, me and my good friend from Players Choice, Mars Talk Sports, will be ranking our teams for the upcoming season. We're gonna do that again because I stumbled. Editor, get ready. We're gonna do that again. And actually, I think this video is gonna be coming out. Just found out we're good friends. We're not good friends. Wow.
Hey, I'll let you do your intro, man. Do your intro. I ain't interrupt.
This video, I think, this is the one that's gonna come out Tuesday morning. So yeah, bring up the NBA intro. Okay, bet. The NBA season. Damn, I can't talk right now. Ah! All right, do it again.
Yo.
NBA, shut up, nigga.
Lock in, little nigga. Damn.
Leave. I'm overworked. I've been overworked, man. Been on stream 18 days in a row. All right, bet. Okay. The NBA season is around the corner, so I figured I would drop a video right beforehand, and we are going to rank the teams.
Don't you like pre-write these?
No,
Yo,
always
bro, Mark.
I always do this live.
Yo,
I do
Mark
these
got you
live.
flashing, bro. What's good?
But you should have at least like a blueprint of what you trying to say.
No, man.
you making
Usually
this
I'm
shit up
good
on
off
the
the top of the
spot.
dome.
Some pinpoints, nigga. God damn,
Yeah,
bro.
this shit trash.
Hi, my name is Real Talk. I'll be doing this video.
No, I'm not doing her name is Real Talk, nigga.
Nigga, do something, nigga. Damn.
The
I used to
NBA
just do
tips
the,
off today, so I'm joined by Mars Talk Sports to rank each team in their appropriate tiers ahead of the season.
Let Mars do it. Chat.
Hold on.
Hell no, I don't do intro for myself.
No, don't let him.
Oh, get this nigga out of my shit, bro.
Bruh. Hold on. Okay, bet. The NBA season starts tonight. And so I figured me and my good friend Mars will rank the teams via tier list for the upcoming season. So here we go. Bam. Cool little intro. Now, yeah, tonight, nigga. Tonight.
First time. Yeah, we did that first time,
Tonight.
chat.
It's not actually tonight. This video is dropping Tuesday, chat. The video's dropping Tuesday. So yeah, obviously not tonight. Okay.
Wait, say Tuesday again?
Tuesday.
You from Baltimore now? What the fuck going on?
Tuesday? Niggas don't say Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Okay, whatever. Now, let's get to the list. What's up, Mars? How you feeling? How you feeling?
I'm amazing, man. Thanks for having me, man. Let's
No
get him.
problem.
How do you want me to approach this? I don't know what the rules and regulations
Can
are.
we? I want to actually get your real opinion and not your Spurs Pistons opinion. Okay, I want your real actual opinion about this. All right.
I'll do my best, man. I'll do my best.
Thank you. Now, I don't want to just because it is a two-person video. Okay. So, how this is going to work is we're going to rank each team into tiers where we think they belong. The tiers are title contender, deep playoff run, playoff team, play-in team, and the lottery. So, I think I want to go from the bottom up. Actually, I don't want to, I want to build some suspense. Let's not start with the best teams. Let's start with the worst teams and work our way up. So I think we can agree on the lottery teams pretty easily. In your opinion, who would be your first lottery team?
So just to clarify, lottery team. Are we saying lottery teams is in teams that have no chance of making the play-in, or teams that we think could make the
these are
play-in, but
going to
they
be
might be
the
the
bottom
11th
feeders. These are going to be who we think aren't good at all.
Okay. So let's go ahead and put the Utah Jazz right there in the lottery. Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay, I agree.
Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page?
We're on the same page. We're on the same page. I'm going to go out on the limb and say Charlotte as well.
That isn't the first team I would have gone for, but I'm inclined to agree. Okay. I will go for a more safe option and say the Washington Wizards.
I would agree. I really don't think, as far as me, when I was going,
there's one team you're missing.
Nets.
Yep.
Nets.
Okay, there you go.
There's one more. The Nets. The Nets are going to be trash this year. Absolutely. The Nets are going to be trash.
We really think Charlotte are with these teams?
I don't think Charlotte's going to win a lot of games. To be honest, I really don't. Do you think they got so much better from last year that they're gonna? Now, what if they stay healthy?
Health is a big question. I like Kalkbrenner. I think he's a good, solid rookie center. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows my feelings about Musa Diabate. I think LaMelo is extremely talented, and I think he might dispel some narratives against him if he has a healthy season. Miles Bridges has looked good in preseason. Brandon Miller's still going to be an elite shooter. Colin Sexton, I think, adds a cool dynamic. I'm not saying they're going to make the play-in.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I think they're a bottom feeder. That's kind of where I'm at. I think they're gonna be closer to the play-in than they are gonna be to the Jazz, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's do it like this. So from first to last, we'll rank like the bottom feeders, and we'll put Charlotte last, meaning they're closer to the play-in category. You see what I'm saying? Like they're the best of the worst teams. How you feel about that?
Okay, I think it would make more sense to put them at the top of the category as opposed to the bottom. But I hear you. I do think that's fair.
In this regard, the first gonna be the worst. Yeah, first is the worst. Like
I just think for continuity's sake, because when we do the title contenders first, is going to be the best team.
Okay, fair.
So for continuity's sake, it's going to be weird if someone sees. Yeah, so
okay.
Content creation.
So we have Charlotte first. Now of Utah, Washington, and Brooklyn, how do you think they're going to fare out As far as between the three
Um,
of them, where would you rank them?
real quick,
Hmm.
just hear me out. Am I wrong for saying Chicago's in this tier?
I do think you're wrong about that. Yeah,
You think Chicago's
playing material.
considerably better than the Hornets, considering they lost Zach LaVine and he was a big part of their wins last year, and then a nice little Fugazi March run. Are you buying into that? Do you think they're legitimately a tier ahead of the Hornets?
I do think they're a better team than the Hornets, but again, not by much. If the Hornets are able to stay healthy, but I do like what I saw from Chicago to close out the season last year. I'm buying some stock in the Montas, right? I
Oh,
also
completely.
think Josh Giddey isn't that bad, man. Josh Giddey is a good player, and the way that they play kind of fits his play style seamlessly.
Absolutely.
They like to play fast, right? They put the ball in his hand, so his shooting prowess isn't, such a deterrent or a negative, right? Because they don't have him like spotting up. He's the one making the plays. Um, yeah, I think Chicago's going to win 39-ish,
Oh, okay.
39-ish games.
We're a ways apart in Chicago.
Or
Okay,
ways
that's
a
fair.
part of Chicago. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
that's fair.
In terms of the rest, I think the Nets are the best team of the three that we have left.
Of Washington and
Utah.
Utah.
I think the Nets are the best team.
Okay. I think Utah's always intriguing to me just because there are some players over there. You know what I'm saying? I like Laurie. I like, Kessler's a good defensive piece. Collier to me, I kind of like him at the PG spot. Now, he can't shoot, but you know what I'm saying? Very good passer. Like an
Gets into the
elite
paint a
passer.
lot.
Damn near.
Yeah.
And I like their coach a lot as
But they're
well.
also in the West. So like you factor in the strength of the conference and they're gonna get pummeled playing against Western Conference competition.
They are gonna, yeah, that is true. That is true.
I also just think the Nets play a good brand of basketball. And I think if I'm ranking these three teams, like at the end of the day, we all agree they're gonna win sub 25 games. But if you tell me, if I just watch these teams, forget the goal of winning, because we know none of them are actually aiming to win, which team plays the best brand of basketball, it's going to be Brooklyn, Utah, Washington, in my opinion.
You are buying into the Cam Thomas, Michael Porter Jr., and ball handlers over there in Brooklyn a little bit.
That kind of is the team, yeah. I'm on the train of Cam Thomas is to me a good offensive player. Like he is a good offensive player. I'm not subscribing to that he's just a scorer rhetoric. Even if he was, I think scoring is valuable and he does it really well. MPJ is one of the best movement shooters in the NBA. I do think provides value in a Jordi Fernandez system. And they do have a lot of high IQ guys. We saw Jaeger's preseason debut. He looked better than I thought he would. So I'm intrigued to see him. Nolan Traore. They got Dayron Sharp, someone who's a really good offensive rebounder, really good rim running big. Nicholas Claxton has been a disappointment for 3 years now, but you do still have the ability to rim run and in theory be a switchable defender who can protect the rim. I think they have talent to where they're not going to win a lot, but they are capable of beating teams because of explosive scoring nights. And I think they're going to play the game the right way with young guys. So that's why I have them in Utah above the Wizards, who I struggle to see many redeeming qualities on that team.
What do you, just real quick, not even like dealing with the rankings, but like, what do you think they're doing with Cam Thomas? Like,
I don't know, because apparently Cam Thomas's value is not that high. Which I understand because of the defense stuff. I think the playmaking woes are overblown. I probably on the side of this is Cam Thomas's last year in Brooklyn, and he will be going elsewhere in the offseason. But I think, yeah, I'm not going to say I think that's a mistake because they seem to be building an identity around ball movers and connectors and all of that. But I think they're going to run into a roadblock down the line where they realize that a bunch of connective passes connecting to no scoring is going to lead into a problem. But they're at the initial stages right now, and I don't think Cam Thomas is that level of scorer to where he's your franchise. So I can understand the hesitation. But I just think he's really talented and really impactful offensively, especially based in the situation he was in last year. And I think he's being chastised for things that, quite frankly, I don't think people watch the Nets. So they just, scorer, doesn't pass, doesn't play defense, he sucks. I just don't think that's true.
I'm thinking I'm cool with Utah being worse or the worst out of the three. I'm considering Washington though. I do kind of like some of the defensive personnel. Now, what if Alex Sarr kind of takes a leap? I know Gifted, shout out to Gifted, keeps up with the Wizards. He's been saying that Alex Sarr has been looking pretty good in the preseason. They have some young players, some young guards. What's that?
Bob Carrington.
Bob Carrington. Yeah, he's kind of nice. They could potentially be better than Brooklyn to me. But it's a toss up. I'm not gonna argue you down about Brooklyn versus Washington. But I do think Washington, if they are better than Brooklyn, wouldn't surprise me at all this year.
I hear you. I think I'm gonna be honest. I think these three teams can go in any order, and I don't think anyone's gonna be fighting against us if we put them in any order. Quite frankly, I think we all agree they're gonna be bottom feeders. One of them might win 17 games, and the other one might win 18. I don't think anyone's really rushing to tell us why one team clears the other. If I'm perfectly honest.
So, Major, we're gonna go back to you. Let's do this. Let's go Charlotte best of the group. We'll go Brooklyn second. We'll go Major screen because he's the one with the list on there.
Real professional, sir.
Absolutely. So we have Charlotte first, Brooklyn second. We'll put Washington third with the Jazz at the end. That'll fill out our lottery section. Now, the play-in team section to me is interesting because I have a team in the play-in, but I do think that they could beat some of the teams in the playoffs once we get there. Now, I want to also ask you though, like play-in to playoff. What if we have some teams where we think will land in the play-in, but play their way into the playoffs? Do we want to categorize them as playoff teams or leave them in the play-in?
I'm of the belief that you can be in the play-in and be a playoff team, especially in this Western Conference. For me, a playoff team is a play-in team, is a play-in caliber team, if that makes sense. I look at it as a definition of quality, not a definition of seeding. That's kind of where I stand on it. So yeah, I think you could be technically the 8th seed in your conference, but be a playoff team. And then there's another team that's the 7th seed in their conference, but they're a play-in team just based on quality and conference differences. So that's where I stand on it. I just view it as a definition of quality. But if you want to go literal, there's only 6 teams in each conference in the playoffs. We can do it that way, but that's not how I would do it.
Okay, we'll do it like we'll do it literal, but with the understanding though that we're not saying that some of these play-in teams can't make the playoffs, but we'll just go off literally like off the standings at the end of the season, who we think will be in the play-in, not saying that they can't make the playoffs. So
if we're doing it literally, we need 8 lottery teams.
We do?
Yeah, because there's 4 teams that are... No, we need 5. We need 10 lottery teams. Because if you're not in the top 10, you're going to be in the lottery because you didn't make the play-in.
That is true. So we'll do it theoretically because we're not doing 10 lottery teams. Yeah, we're not doing 10 lottery teams. We're not doing 10 lottery teams.
Okay, there you go.
So yes. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Lakers right now.
Starting with the most controversial one is certainly a choice.
Yes. Because also, like you said, coinciding with the list, I do think they're the best of this group. But
Okay, I hear you.
I'm kind of low on the Lakers. Reasons being, number one, LeBron James is starting off the season hurt, right? So that's already kind of a negative. Um, and I'm just not as high on this team as a lot of people just because we have Luca. Like Luca is obviously one of the 3 to 5 best players in the league. I'm actually catching flack right now as we speak on a new PC video that just came out about that. People in the comments tearing me a new one right now, Mars, about that Giannis Jokic debate we had. Luca is definitely one of the best in the league, but to me in 2025, that's not enough to like guarantee that you're a top 6 seed in either conference. We had AD and LeBron when they were both still perennially top 10 players landing in the play-in still. Also, landing in the play-in doesn't mean like you're mid. Because also that's kind of the connotation that comes with that sometimes. When I say like, oh yeah, I think the Lakers are going to be in the play-in, the response is like, oh, you think we're bad? And it's like, no, we're in the West. So 48 wins could be the play-in in the Western Conference this year. That doesn't mean you're a bad team. It's just that's how competitive the conference is. And I think between the other competitive teams in the West, I just think they got better in the offseason more than we did. I'm not sure about Marcus Smart at this point. I'm still not sure about like Vandal's progression as an offensive player. DeAndre Ayton is better than Jackson Hayes, but like bar in the pits of hell, right? Um, what else? Jake LaRavia has not been impressive to me so far in this preseason. Now, I am judging a lot off the preseason, mind you, that that could be a critique. But to me, it's going to be a lot of Luca, AR, Braun, save us. Which those 3 players are good enough to save you a lot of the times. Like, let's not get it twisted. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not mid, but I don't like our team dynamic. I don't like our roster. So I'm not very high on the Lakers. Now, we get Andrew Wiggins or you make a move during the trade deadline, come back to me. But like, what are your opinions about the Lakers?
I'm also not that high on the Lakers, but it's more so in the sense that I think the West is stacked, not that I think the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers are bad, to your point. I just think if there's 6 better teams in the Western Conference in the regular season better than the Lakers, that wouldn't surprise me. Mainly because I think the recipe in the regular season to have a high floor is going to be to just stand on defense. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers have kind of gone the opposite direction where they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to stand on offense. And I think that just gives you more volatility as a team going through 82 games, whereas defense is more there night to night. I think your starting lineup to start the season is Luca, Gabe, Austin Reeves, Rui, and DeAndre Ayton. That concerns me in multiple ways defensively.
Right.
And it's not like you could have bad defensive personnel, but have like this amazing drop big who's a rim protector and he can just like raise the floor.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Ayton was playing a drop
Not
in Portland, and it was some of the worst defense in the NBA. So, like, we know that's not his role. I do think he's going to be useful for you guys, just not in the role where he's going to anchor a defense. So I agree with them being in the play-in, but also being a better team potentially than teams who may be in the top 6. But I do
mm-hmm.
think they will end up in the play-in, playing their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think if they like get a matchup in a playoff setting against a team that kind of lacks some talent offensively, I think we can take advantage of that. Like a potentially, let's say, I think a team that people are sleeping on a tad bit, and we're going to bring them up to like if we get a Memphis, I think we could definitely send Memphis home in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? A team like that. So yeah, the Lakers are my. Do you agree with the Lakers being like the best of this group?
I would. Well, I don't know who's yet to come. But I would agree that they're towards the top of the play-in. I'll say that.
Okay, okay. Now, who else would you consider for the playing section of this tier list?
You seem to be going with the closer to the top of the group, so I'm gonna go to the closer to the bottom of the group. And I'm gonna say the Phoenix Suns. I think the Phoenix Suns should be in this tier. In fact, I'd argue they're probably closer to the lottery. But since we've done our lottery tier, I will put them here. I just don't think they have enough defense to get them through the regular season. I think Devin Booker is really good. I think Devin Booker is amazing. I think he's the second best two guard in the league. I've been consistent on that. I think he's primed to have a really good offensive season. Everything that Jordan Ott has preached about pace and getting the ball movement and getting easy opportunities, I think that plays into Devin Booker's strengths. I don't know if people know this, but Devin Booker is one of the best transition scorers in the NBA and has been for many years. I also think Jalen Green adds some much needed rim pressure to this team. For all of his flaws, this was a team that had no one who could reliably get to the rim in the half court, and I do think he adds that dynamic with his athleticism, with his first step and his explosiveness. And they've added some competent bigs to a roster that was devoid of real big man talent last year, whether that be with Maluach or Mark Williams, who I do think have intriguing tools and abilities offensively as rim runners. With that being said, they're going to have a lineup that has maybe one positive defender in Dylan Brooks. And similar to my Lakers point, but minus a lot of the offensive talent. I just don't think that's going to be enough to get them through the regular season.
Is Ryan Dunn not still?
Ryan Dunn is on the roster. I just don't think he's going to start. I don't have intel. I just don't think he's going to. But if he does, shout out to him. I think looking at the roster, I just think they're too devoid of defensive talent, and then their defensive talent, in particular, Ryan Dunn, I'm looking at now, is too lackluster offensively to justify a heavy dosage of minutes if you're trying to play the way that Phoenix say they're trying to play. So I think they're going to be a fun team, a team that plays with pace and energy, but ultimately just doesn't have the talent to get anywhere north of 35 wins. But I do think they're going to be a 12-ish seed. And if they were in the Eastern Conference, maybe they would be getting into the play-in. But in the West, it's just going to be tough. But I have them in and around this group.
Okay. I kind of like Phoenix. And I think their starting lineup is going to be more so, or at least I think this will be one of the lineups in the season. Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Ryan Dunn, Dylan Brooks, and then one of the centers, whatever center that they start. Probably Nick Richards. Probably. I don't know. We'll see how Maluach looks during the season and Mark Williams. But I've been intrigued with them because of their center rotation. I know your reaction and the chat's reaction to like
Nick Richards had a good preseason. I'll give him credit. Nick Richards had a good preseason.
And I've been obsessed with centers rotations ever since ours is so ass. I'm like, wow, what a treat it is to have like a decent starting and backup center. That's pretty impressive. And so I know they're not great by any means. Maluach, Nick, Mark Williams. But those are three solid, game to game. Which one is having more success? We can stick with this one more than the other. That's how they should go about that position, in my opinion. It shouldn't be so like determining, oh, you're the starter, you're the backup, you know what I'm saying? I think game to game, kind of throw them all in, see who's having the hot night or good stretch, lean into that on a night-to-night basis, because they're not, one is no like way better than the other. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not much gap there, in my opinion. And I am intrigued very much by Maluach. He was very impressive against us during that preseason game as well. Damn near outplayed Aiden. So I like the Suns, and I like D-Book at point, and like you said, Jalen Green and the downhill effect. Because one thing Devin Booker really does not do too much of is get to the basket. Very much so a pull-up shooter, but free throw rate is still good because he will pump fake you to oblivion. So shout out to Devin Booker. Great grifter. Doesn't get brought up enough.
Yes. Small tidbit, Jalen Green will miss the first games of the season. So someone who hasn't missed a game in 2 years, missing the start of the season in Phoenix. Don't know how much of a big deal that's going to be. but he's getting reevaluated sometime next week. So you're at least starting with your starting lineup that you're not going to go forward with. So that's a slight concern for a team that's already on the back foot, but still in the play-in, well, pushing for the play-in, I'll say.
I think like with him, if it's not a major injury, one thing Jalen Green is going to do is play basketball. Like that's for sure what he's going to do. You can rely on him to do that and play the games. Now, the next team that I'm going to throw on here. Let me look at the list very quickly because I do want to. I'm going to go with Golden State.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
going to go with Golden State. The
Spoiler
reason
alert, I think
why-
they're better than the Lakers. I just want to put that out there. I think they're better than you guys. But you can go ahead.
Whatever. The reason why is because not because of the talent on the roster. I do believe in their roster and their 5 to 7 man rotation, and I've also been on record now saying multiple times I'm not going to want to play this team come playoff time if they're healthy. I don't think anybody in the West is going to want to play because they have veterans, they can still defend. And then Steph Curry is still Steph Curry. And then if Jimmy Butler is healthy, mind you, he did get hurt last playoff run, but he was doing that Jimmy Butler thing again before he got hurt, where he turned up his scoring aggression and became a 24, 25 point per game guy out of nowhere again. Like he did it again. So if my only concern about them is health, right? I don't know if Al Horford, especially because he's part of like their core rotation now, can play, 82 games. Same about Jimmy Butler. Same about Steph. Like I just have some concern about them making it through the 82 game grind to be like a solidified top 6 seed in the West. But I do think they're one of the 6 best teams in the West, if that makes sense. I just don't know if they're going to. I don't know if they're going to win enough games.
I hear you, and I can see them being in the play-in. I can also see them similar to last year. I know they were in the play-in last year, but like basically scratching and clawing to get themselves into the 6th seed on like the final 2 games.
Yeah.
I agree with the age concerns, the injury concerns, whether it be guys like Steph. I think Draymond's been missing a lot more time than people think. Some of that's due to suspensions, though. So factor that in. Jimmy misses quite a lot of time. Al Horford, you probably have to load manage in some capacity. So I agree with all of that. I just think they're going to be so good when they're whole that they might be able to get themselves into the 5 or 6 spot off that alone. If they can get 55, 60 games of their big 3, Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, I wouldn't be surprised if they were 40 and 15 in those games. That's how good I think they could be. They were 23-7 in the games with Jimmy Butler last year, which would be on pace for 46 and 14 in a 60-game sample. And that would be enough to get into the 2 seed, even if you go 5 and whatever in the games left. So I just think when you have Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler, you add Al Horford, that's some of the highest defensive IQ in the NBA. You add Steph Curry, who I know you're lower on Steph because of the scoring output can be inconsistent.
No, I've gotten back higher on Steph after last year. I think when I did my top 10 players, I think I had him 9. Like he's in my top 10 again. You remember last offseason I was pushing Donovan Mitchell prop, but then Donovan Mitchell decided to have one of his worst years in his prime after I was trying to prop him up. So shout out to Donovan Mitchell for that. But yeah, Steph Curry with another competent, offensive player on his roster, it's still very much so a top 10 player in the league. So
yeah, I know who you think is going to be better than him this year, but we'll leave that until we get to that team. It's just the results kind of speak for themselves, and like I know it's kind of it's a tired talking point at this point, but Steph Curry and Draymond Green on the court together is going to lead to good results. Like it just does. Draymond can anchor a defense still at his age, and Steph can floor raise an offense even at this age. You added a high IQ guy, Jimmy Butler, who I still think is really good. I know people are lower on him, and I think part of that is because of the inconsistent scoring in the regular season. But he just does so many little things that he's still majorly impactful, whether that be forcing turnovers, whether that be limiting his own turnovers, being able to draw free throws. This is a Warriors team that was lacking, outside of Kuminga, anyone who could really get to the free throw line with any sort of consistency. Jimmy Butler being able to be an 85% free throw shooter, or whatever he is, on high volume, raises the floor of that offense. And I also think Kuminga is going to play a big role, especially in the regular season. And Warriors fans hate B-Pods for whatever reason. I think he's impactful. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. I think he's a really smart basketball player. So I just think I'm fine with them being in the play-in because of the injury stuff. But I personally would have them at the top of this group that we have thus far. I would have them at the top.
Okay. I can see that. And I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to agree with you on that actually. I do like the Golden State team a little bit better than our Lakers team right now. I was actually just going to ask you about Kuminga as well because Penn, I think, made a really good point. Words I've never spoken before, but I do think when he was talking about like a younger player on one of these rosters, kind of like quasi being one of the stars when the other veteran players aren't performing or are hurt. I think he was making this point about like Christian Brown on Denver. I don't remember it like word for word, but I do remember he was like one of the younger players surprising you and having like this kind of outlier season or whatever. I think Jonathan Kuminga can definitely do that for them. So even in some of these games where a Jimmy Butler doesn't play, a Draymond Green doesn't play, Al Horford doesn't play, Jonathan Kuminga can have, come in and have a 25-point night. Like that's not, out of the realm of possibility. He's also looked good this preseason as well. And he's still playing for a contract that he has yet to receive either from them or from abroad. I think he signed like a 2-year deal. Obviously, everybody in the world knows what Jonathan Kuminga is looking for, and so he's going to have to perform to get that kind of a contract either from them or somebody else. So I definitely intrigued about Jonathan Kuminga. As far as the B-Pods thing, I just think he doesn't look like, oh, this is going to be a future of our franchise kind of guy. And I
He
think
doesn't know that, but
yeah, that was a crazy quote from him. But I think that's kind of what like Golden State is yearning for as far as like a young player like being that quality or being that good. And then they also like juxtapose him to Austin Reeves a lot. I do see that. And yeah, he's not Austin Reeves by a long shot. So good role player, but I don't see any like star potential there, and I don't think they do either, and that's kind of disappointing to them, I believe.
yeah, if your 16th overall pick doesn't have star potential, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everybody's Austin was undrafted, but everybody can't be that lucky.
Next.
Let's see here. So we have Major. Let's move Golden State up to the front in front of the Lakers. Now the next team I'm gonna go with
You
the
just went with the
Pacers.
Warriors, by the way, but that's fine.
You said what about the
I
Warriors?
agree. You just went with the Warriors, so it's meant to be my turn. But the Pacers is fine.
Oh, no, I thought you. Oh yeah, my fault.
It's fine. It's fine. The Pacers is fine. We can talk about the Pacers. Go ahead. Tell me about the Pacers.
I am very, very high on this Pacers team. And I know it's going to be seen as like, oh my God, Halliburton. But it's not. I just really think that some of these other players are that good. And also think that potentially their defense can be a little bit better throughout the regular season without Holly. I like TJ McConnell. I like Andrew Nembhard. Benedict Mathurin has been amazing so far in the preseason. They still got Pascal Siakam, Jay Huff. A lot of people like Jay Huff as well. So I think they're gonna pick up full court, right? They're gonna speed the game up. They're gonna still create easy opportunities. They still have a go-to scorer in isolation situations as far as Pascal Siakam, right? When the offense kind of boggles down. I think the main thing they're looking for is a regular season jump out of Andrew Nembhard. That's also why he's my pick for most improved player this year, because I think it's going to be required of him, and I think he's going to meet those expectations. Um, I think he has a really good off the dribble game. I think he's an underrated passer. I think he's going to be really good in pick and roll situations because he can probe, get to a midi. That kind of fits his play style anyway. And they still have Neesmith, who's a great 3-and-D guard slash wing over there. They have all of the tools to still be a good functioning regular season team. Not to mention they're in the Eastern Conference, who once you get past like the top 6, 7 teams, it's not great. So I think they can win some games. I got the Pacers winning like 45, 44 games.
45 is the playing in the East team?
Well, that's like the high end. That's like all
Okay.
all
Okay.
everything goes well, 45 wins. But anywhere from 40, 45 wins.
I see. I also see them in the playing. My I guess main concern is, are we going to get regular season shooting Andrew Nembhard or playoff shooting
Yeah,
Andrew
yeah,
Nembhard?
yeah.
That's a big swing factor, and I think the Pacers are going to need somewhere closer to playoff shooting Andrew Nembhard.
Mm-hmm.
Also, with the added offensive burden, are we going to see a major decline in his defensive tenacity? Because that tends to be the cost of being more leveraged on offense. Because I argued last year that he was borderline all defensive caliber in the regular
Mm-hmm.
season. Are we going to get that again this season? I don't know. Losing Miles Turner in the regular season, I do think hurts. I'm not the highest on Miles Turner, but he is someone who can block shots and space the floor.
Mm-hmm.
J Huff can, in some cases, replicate some of that value, but he's pretty much exclusively a shot blocker. Like, he can't defend pick and roll really well. He can't defend the action really well at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't class him as good a shooter as Miles Turner. He doesn't get that same respect as Miles Turner does. So I think you are banking on a jump from Benedict Mathurin, because I would argue him and Pascal are the two best scorers on the team.
Mm-hmm.
TJ McConnell needing to get back healthy and then do everything he does off the bench. Maybe a Johnny Furphy jump. You need Isaiah Jackson to be ready to come off the bench and give good solid minutes coming off a torn Achilles. So there are question marks, but I also, to your point, I do like the roster and I do like the way they play. I do think some of that was predicated with Halliburton, but also because you guys were having a conversation on PC like a week ago about Halliburton, his importance to the team.
Mm-hmm.
And their pace doesn't change that much without Halliburton. I looked it up, it was like 99 pace with him and like 98.8 without him.
Mm-hmm.
So their pace, even over the last couple of seasons, hasn't really changed that much without him. So I do expect them to keep up that intensity, but it's just about the shot quality. Do I see that maintaining? And I don't know. I do expect to see a lot more mid-range shots from the Pacers this year because of TJ, because of Nembhard, because of Pascal, because of Benny. And if you're not generating high volume of threes or rim attempts, I can see that hurting your offense somewhat. But defensively, I can see them being in and around the average to slightly above range. And I do think that can get you to around 500, especially in the Eastern Conference. So I also see them as a playing team.
Okay, glad we can agree there. Now, where do you want to rank them as far as like the teams we have so far playing? Behind the Lakers?
Third. I'd put them above the Suns. The Suns are probably going to be quite far down this list. It's on me, right?
Yes, it is.
You're going with more the high-end playing teams. I'm going with the more low-end ones. So I'm going to keep that run going, and I'm going to go with the Chicago Bulls. We kind of spoke about them briefly, so it can be quite quick. I like the way they play. Pace, space, generate threes. Really, really fun play style. I think Kobe White was second in the league in transition points behind Giannis. So I think that tells you about how much the Bulls are really just running. And they were also a really good transition defense. So I think that's going to be their calling card, just transition on both sides of the ball. I do think they're going to have a lot of half-court limitations. I'm excited for the Matas to breakthrough, I guess. Really like his secondary rim protection, really like his tools on offense as a driver. So I'm intrigued about the Bulls, but at the end of the day, that's like it's quite simple. They just don't have the talent to compete. They've been a playing team for the last 4 years, and they're going to be in and around there again, while being worse because they've lost Caruso, they've lost Levine in recent times, but they're always going to stay in that same group where they're going to be pushing towards 500. I'd expect about 35 to 39 wins. Back to your point, that's probably where I'd pencil the Bulls in for.
Okay. You hit the nail on the head. I don't have to add anything about the Chicago Bulls, and like you said, we kind of already talked about them. And I'm gonna try to speed this up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell the chat how long Road Talk said this is going to take. I'm not going to tell the chat.
I don't know why I said that because that's why I just looked at the clock. I'm like, yeah, I definitely lied to this young man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I'm having fun.
It's okay, man. Love of the game. Now, my next team, as far as the play-in, going to be the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My finals prediction. Interesting.
Oh, brother. I have the San Antonio Spurs just because I like Dylan Harper. I like De'Aaron Fox. I like Wemby, obviously. I just don't think they're there yet, and they're in the West. Right? That's really the big part of it. Like, I can definitely see 6 teams definitively being better than them. Like, I respect to the San Antonio Spurs, but obviously, like I said, like Wemby, we're assuming a big jump. However, just very quickly, there are some things that they're allowing Wemby to do I simply just don't like, and I'm hoping that this is just we're experimenting in the preseason because he's turning the ball over at an alarming rate. Um, and I hope that, like I said, that's just pre-ball on this team. You have 2 point guards now, in De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper, and they make good decisions, good sound decisions. He does not need to be handling the ball on this team. Even then, even if you want tertiary, let Steven Castle do it. Wemby needs to be getting placed in way more play finishing situations than I think people are willing to admit because they like when he tween has he sometimes. Like, yeah, it looks cool, but all in all, to me, it's really not that effective when he does that. But yeah, I see them being in the play-in. They'll win. I got them penciled in around like 44, 43 wins. Because the roster, like I said, compared to the West, just kind of mid, to be honest with you. But what do you think about San Antonio?
Yeah, easy playing team for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna talk about everyone else and then come back to Wemby. He's obviously the main draw. I just think they lack defensive talent, if I'm being honest. I like Luke Cornett. I think I'm intrigued about their double big lineups. Is De'Aaron going to be there opening night? I don't think so, but
I don't believe so. No.
So not having your all-star, all-NBA caliber point guard, I do think that's an issue. I really do like Dylan Harper. I think he's got the tools and the IQ to be impactful relative to a rookie right away. His driving ability, his craft, his ability to navigate angles, get downhill, get into the paint. I like that. Stephon Castle, I'm not the highest on generally, but I do think he can be a good point of attack defender. And I really like Champagny as a shooter. Next to Wemby, getting as much space as possible, I do think is going to be necessary, especially when you're pairing him next to Dylan Harper, who's a questionable outside shooter at this point, Stephon Castle, who's practically a non-shooter, and De'Aaron Fox, who has his limitations.
Do you believe in Do you believe in Carter Bryant? Because I didn't bring him up.
I don't know how much I expect him to be in the rotation early on. I'm not as high on the offensive upside. Defensively, I think the tenacity and the athletic tools are all there, and I do think he can provide value defensively. But I'm pretty much always on the side that rookies are never really that impactful towards winning. And we're talking about a Spurs team that are trying to compete. So I don't know how much minutes they're going to be for Carter Bryant, especially behind guys like Harrison Barnes, like Sohan, who I do think are just better players right now. But Sohan has the limitations as a shooter. Harrison Barnes has the limitations defensively. So it's all a bit tough in terms of the fit and the continuity. But to get back to Wemby, defensively, I think there's not really any question marks at this point. I think with Wemby on the court, if he's there for the whole year, we're talking about a defense that can be top 10 just off the strength of him. And to the point earlier, I think if your team can stand on defense in the Western Conference, you give yourself a solid floor. So I think that's where they stand up. And then to your point about turnovers, Wemby turned the ball over in the preseason 44% of the time in transition, 29% of the time in isolation, 29% of the time posting up. Somehow he turned the ball over on a third of his spot up opportunities. I don't even know how that's possible, but he managed to do it. He also managed to turn the ball over 29% of the time out of pick and roll when he was handling the ball, 25% of the time when he was the roller and pick and roll. And he turned the ball over on 35% of his drives. No matter what play type he was in, shout out to Synergy, no matter what play type he was in, it was some of the most egregious turnovers you could fathom. And it's turnovers in all sorts of ways, whether that be passing, travels, offensive fouls. And the crazy thing is, when he got a look at the rim, he was uber efficient. I brought up all of those turnover numbers. He was 71% from the field in transition. But the issue is his points per possession in transition were only in the 45th percentile because he turned the ball over 44% of the time. In isolation, he shot 56% from the field, but his points per possession were only 0.86 because he turned the ball over 29% of the time. When he was posting up, he shot 71% from the field, but his points per possession were only in the 50th percentile because he turned the ball over 29% of the time. So when he gets a shot at the rim, uber efficient, like when he actually gets the shot off. But the issue is because of the lack of functionality in his handle, and I think this has been a consistent theme in his career and will continue to do so, especially since he apparently is growing. Getting to the positions where he's comfortable shooting is gonna come at the cost of a lot of turnovers. And I think we've seen in the last few years, controlling the possession battle is like key in terms of winning. And if you run a lot of offense through Wembanyama, you're probably going to lose the possession battle more often than not because of how much he's going to turn the ball over. And I think that's going to hurt him and the Spurs ultimately and probably put their ceiling at around 500. But I do think that's enough to get in maybe at the 9-10 spot, which is cool for a team this year.
Also, the thing about Wemby, and this isn't a good thing, but people are infatuated with it. He doesn't need to get any taller. There's these reports about him like still growing. His functionality is just going to get worse and worse if he continues to get taller because of his center of gravity is just so high, right? And that's where a lot of the turnovers come from, right? Being off balance, or just the fact that when he's dribbling, the ball has to come up so high, like it's ridiculous. And then he wants to dribble in front of people's face. There was a play they just played the Pacers. He's dribbling up the court. The dude just takes the ball from him before half. I think it was Isaiah Jackson. Just ripped him before he even got to half. Just, give me that. Because he doesn't need to be doing that. It's too high, right? The ball's coming up too high. Center of gravity too high. Off balance too much. He needs to be, like I said earlier, put in the most play finishing positions as possible. Does not need to be trying to create, especially off the bounce. Now, what I've also been saying about Wemby for the longest, I would love a mid-post game to where we can catch, face up, jab, go into a shot. Because whenever he does raise up and shoot, I mean, he's not seeing anybody when he raises up to shoot the ball. So less dribbling and more play finishing for Victor Wembanyama. But yeah, we kind of basically agree on the Spurs in totality. Now, where do you want to rank them? Because I do think they're better than the Bulls.
I agree, but I don't think they're better than the Lakers.
No.
But I don't think the Pacers are better than the Lakers, though.
Yeah, me either. Major. Yeah, Now, do you think they're better than the Pacers?
Are we looking strictly regular season, or are we looking at what they could do in the playoffs? If that makes sense.
No, what they could do in the playoffs, because we already eliminated the literal sense.
Okay. Just who do I think is a better team, top to bottom, Spurs or Pacers? I'd probably say Spurs.
Mhm.
Part of it is top end talent. Part of it is defensive floor. Yeah, I'm gonna say the Spurs. I think the Spurs are slightly better than the Pacers.
Okay, that's fair. Let's move the Spurs up. For ones wondering in the chat, like, oh my goodness, you're saying y'all are saying all of this about Wemby, but consistent top 5 player. It's just like his defensive value is so immeasurable that to where it's like if he's just a plus offensively, that kind of gets him into top 15 to top 10 talks. And as flawed as he is, he's definitely way more than just a plus offensively.
Yeah,
Like,
I also think he's a really good offensive player. I
yeah,
think the turnovers are problematic, but that doesn't take away from the ridiculous play finishing ability, rim finishing, and the shooting talent and the spacing value. Like and the fact that he's a solid passer is a big as well. Like, so turnovers, cool. We can acknowledge weaknesses, but just because we were focusing on weaknesses here doesn't mean the strengths don't exist.
Absolutely. Now, is it your turn or my turn?
I just said the Spurs.
Okay. I'm going to go with.
No, you just said the Spurs. No, I said the Spurs. I don't know who
Yeah,
said
you
the
said
Spurs.
Spurs.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat next.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat next. I just got told recently that they have benched Khalil Ware. I don't know what Spoelstra's doing over there, but if that's so, he needs to, Pat Riley or somebody needs to take him to the back, and get that corrected because Khalil Ware needs to be starting on this team. We've done the Bam at the 5 thing for the past few years. It's no. Khalil Ware at the 5, Bam at the 4. Now, as far as the rest of their roster, they are banking on Jovic being a good player. They paid him. I do see the potential. I do see the talent. I'm just waiting on it to manifest itself. Like, he can do a lot of things well. Doesn't do anything particularly great, but there's still value in a player like that. Somebody that size, being skillful, can do a lot of things, hand the ball, hit a 3, defend a little bit, give you some resign rim protection, rebound. Like, I do see it. I see the vision. I would just like for it to manifest itself. Davion Mitchell, I also think is a really good player. I love Davion Mitchell. One of the best point of attack defenders in the league, if you ask me. And he's becoming a better offensive player with more and more reps and more opportunity. So I really like Davion Mitchell. And as far as Bam is such a swing factor as an offensive player. We never really know what we're going to get, but I think now we just know he's going to be consistently inconsistent, which is kind of holding back the ceiling of this team because they kind of look to him to be a consistent 20 plus per game score, and that's really not his bag. Inconsistent in the mid range, and as from 3. They try to ask him to shoot them more, but he's not great at that either. Not the best in isolation. So he should be more in the play finishing role himself. But the most intriguing part of that team for me is Khalil Ware. I think Khalil Ware can be, if he hits his potential, can be one of the 10 best players in this league eventually. I don't think right now he can, but I'm very high on Khalil Ware. 7'1". I think he can be one of the best defensive players in this league for sure. And the offensive value I'm seeing, he can shoot the ball, put it on the floor a little bit. He can play finish. He can play out of the mid range, mid post, post. I'm high on Khalil Ware. Again, I think that is his potential.
Clearly,
I don't
yeah,
think
clearly.
I don't know if he'll ever reach it, but I do think he can be that good because he's that big and that mobile and that athletic and that skilled. So those are my, thoughts about Miami.
Um, my thought, I think they're a playing team too.
Hmm.
Well, in this tier, but I'm also going to be very clear when I say I don't think this team is very good. I just don't.
I
I
agree.
don't, I don't see as defensively. I like this team. I think
Hmm.
Davion, one of the best point of attack defenders in the NBA, no question. Bam Adebayo, one of the best defenders in the sport, no question. Was definitely all defensive caliber last year, but because of the offensive regression, didn't really get consideration, which I think is nonsense. But that's a whole different conversation. I like Andrew Wiggins still defensively. I think losing Hayward Highsmith is a big deal defensively, but I don't know how many people value Hayward Highsmith, but I think he's cool.
Hmm.
Offensively, I think this team is not good. This is a team that plays at one of the slowest paces in the NBA, and they normally make that up with outside shooting and movement shooters. And right now, the only guys I trust consistently to knock down shots is Tyler Hero and Norman Powell. And Tyler
Hmm.
Hero is not going to be there at the start of the season, which I think is a major concern. Bam Adebayo has got a more and more outside shot reliant game as years have gone on. And pretty much all of his rim attempts were created for him by Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson, both of which are either not going to be there at all, Duncan Robinson in Detroit, or not there at the start of the season with Tyler Hero.
Hmm.
I do think Bam's a really good mid range player. The issue is when you take as many shots from mid range as he does, you tank your efficiency. And that's why he's been a negative efficiency scorer for the
Hmm.
past couple seasons. He's also not that great of a below the rim finisher, whether that be touch or just finishing around the trees. I do like Khalil Ware. I liked him before his draft. Definitely not as high on him as you are, but I do still see the value of having a legitimate shot blocker next to Bam, who can also help on the glass. And if he is consistently engaged, you have someone who can be amazing running the floor both ways, and then can also knock down a three. Um,
Hmm.
so I like the defensive upside for this team, and I think they can be a good defense. It's just offensively, I don't see the avenue for them being in the top 20 offensively. I think this is going to be one of the worst offenses in the NBA, and I think that probably caps their ceiling in and around 500. So I have them playing team, but I have them towards the bottom of this group.
They are one. They are one real like playmaker away from being a really good team. I've always been of the belief they should go out and get LaMelo Ball. I would love to see LaMelo Ball in Miami, not only because of the play finishing talent there, but also I think Miami, yes, the city is very distracting, obviously.
Give the least structured player in the NBA the most
Yeah,
structured
but
organization.
if
Okay.
he gets into the Heat culture, right? If they get to, you
Mm.
know, keep an eye out on him and give him some structure, which mind you, they're able to do regularly. They put
Like Mike
crazy things
Beasley.
in
Yeah.
people's crazy clauses in people's contracts. So I think they would be able to do it. Now, again, it is Miami. LaMelo Ball is LaMelo Ball. But LaMelo Ball he's gonna wild out anyway. I mean, I'm sure he's wilding out in Charlotte. I don't think the location is gonna change what he wants to do functionally as far as outside of basketball. It's more so can the team, you know, rein him in a little bit. And I think Miami could be able to do that. Because I'm looking at like Andrew Wiggins, I'm looking at he's averaging over a point per possession as far as playing at a spot up opportunities. I want to say Bam. I got to look this up, but usually very good in like pick and roll as a roller. Obviously, still very much a lob threat, like play finishing for sure around the team, but they need a playmaker desperately.
They have
Um.
Terry Rozier. They have Terry Rozier.
Oh, brother. Okay. The Heat. I'm actually kind of good where they are right now.
I'd
I
have
don't.
them above the Bulls, but that's where the love would stop for me.
Okay.
But it's your
Um.
channel. If you find with them where they are, I'm not gonna argue with you.
Yeah. No. I got the Bulls being. I got the Bulls being better than them. Yeah, we're gonna keep them behind
Okay.
the Bulls.
Okay.
Are
By the
we?
way, you did pick the Spurs. I just want to put that out there. You absolutely did pick the Spurs.
Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah, so this is back-to-back times you stole a pick from me. But it's cool.
Okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's
Who is
cool.
your
It's cool.
next
It's
team?
cool.
Who's your next
Once
team?
again, it's your channel, man. It's your channel.
Who is your next team?
My next playing team. Once again, I'm sticking with the bottom of this group, so I'm gonna go with the Sacramento Kings. This is a team where I think the problems are quite easy to diagnose. The roster has no defense outside of Keegan Murray, and he just got hurt. That's it. Like we can talk about this
Respect
for 10
Shooter.
minutes if you want.
Respect Dennis.
Okay, my fault. Oh, Keon Ellis, my bad.
And
You know what,
Keon,
Keon
yeah.
Ellis? Keon, absolutely. They have no defense on the roster. If they're trying to get their best players, whether that be Zach LaVine, DeMontis, DeMar DeRozan, and Malik Monk, all on the court, they now have 4 negative defenders on the court simultaneously. That's a recipe for disaster, especially if you're trying to compete. I keep being very consistent with my philosophy in the Western Conference. Defense raises the floor of your team to be competitive, and the Kings have absolutely no defense. Offensively, I'm intrigued. I think Zach LaVine is still one of the most talented scorers in the NBA. I think the reason he gets as much disrespect as he does is because of his contract, which is not something I subscribe to. I also think Domantas Sabonis is a really good regular season big man who can produce really good offense with his ability out of handoffs, ability to push tempo in transition, really good rebounder, really good finisher around the basket. And I think DeMar DeRozan as an isolation release valve is really good. The issue is this team can't guard anyone, and I don't think they're going to be able to guard anyone, and that probably puts their ceiling at around 37 wins. So this is one of the lesser teams in the Western Conference, in my opinion. In the East, probably a 9-10 seed. In the West, probably a 12-13.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, again, just to speed up the process, I don't have to regurgitate everything Mars just said. So we have the Kings in the play-in slot. Where would you rank the Kings? At the bottom of this tier so far?
Do I think they're better than the Suns?
I don't personally, but
I think the Kings have more talent on the roster than the Suns, but
Mhm.
I have way too many issues with the Kings roster construction. So I'm a slightly favor the Suns, but I don't. That one can go either way for me. And Sabonis is also missing the start of the season, so yeah, that doesn't help. These teams can fluctuate. I'm gonna just stand with wherever you have them.
Yeah, for me, like you just said, I think the Kings have more talent. I just think the Suns make more sense. So I'm willing to say the Suns are better than the Kings from a construction standpoint. Looking here, do I have any more?
There's one very
play-
obvious one. Actually, I don't know how you feel about that team. There is one obvious one.
Oh, yeah. There's 2 actually, potentially. The Pelicans.
Okay, that's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pelicans. So this is going to be a very exciting year for the Pelicans. I'm very intrigued by this team because I think they can shock some people with how good they are. I'm not going to lie. Fears has been looking very good in the preseason, right? Obviously, the weight loss transformation for Zion. Um, a lot of people are saying he could possibly have a top 10 to 15 season this year or be a top 10 to 15 player. Very much in the deck of cards, right? That's a real possibility. I'm also seeing Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy to me still looks good. I'm higher on Trey Murphy than some. Real good shooter. I think maybe it shouldn't be like your initial initiator or anything like that, but definitely can play out of closeouts, can handle the ball some, but with Zion being there, I think he's like slotted perfectly. They have some veteran, isn't not CJ McConnell, who's Jordan Poole. I like Jordan Poole on this roster as well from an offensive standpoint. He has Kevon Looney over there, who he said he's excited to play with for him to set some screens again and come off and shoot that little pull-up 3 out of pick and roll. But even then, him and Zion 2-man game can be very interesting. He also is just coming off a really good year in Washington. So I think people are too low on Jordan Poole. I think Jordan Poole is a really good player, especially offensively. Now, the concerns for this team obviously would be defensively. Outside of like Herb and Trey, depending on how you feel about Misi, Zion, Jordan Poole, you know. So obviously they're not going to be able to, get a lot of stops, but I do think they're going to score a lot of points. I definitely believe that. I think the Pelicans can be one of the top scoring teams in the NBA because Zion is going to create so many good quality looks and just quality offense with his rim pressure. Look like he has a little midi game now to a little floater game, which he's kind of always had, but going to it more regularly, in my opinion, is in the preseason at least. So that Jordan Poole as a shooter, um, Herb and Trey. Herb can shoot in the regular season. Don't know how he can shoot in the playoffs, but regular season he can hit a corner three. Trey Murphy, great shooter. Messi, lob threat. So I think they're going to have a quality offense.
Yeah. To once again speed things up, I echo a lot of the sentiment. I think we're on the same page on Zion. I think we both think fully healthy. I'll just low end estimate he's a top 20 player in the NBA. Also, Zion is shooting 90% out of pick and roll in preseason. Quite frankly, you give him any sort of advantage, he's going to get to the rim and he's going to finish with some immaculate touch. Also just a really good ball handler, wrecking ball at that size. Everything about Zion, it doesn't really need to be explained. Echo your sentiment on Jordan Poole. My concerns are also defense. Is Trey Murphy going to get back to the defensive level he was the year before last? Because last year was not a good defensive year for him. Is Herb Jones going to be back on all defensive level? And are they going to get quality minutes from their big man position? Kevon Looney right now, I think, is hurt. I can't remember what it was, but I think he's going to miss some time. Is Yves Messi ready to be a impactful player right now? I don't know. But yeah, I think this team with Zion healthy has the potential to be a top half offense, but a below average defense. And I think that gets you in the play-in or pushing for the play-in, at least.
I am with you on that. Now, where do you want to rank them as far as the playing teams?
I have them above the Bulls, below the Pacers.
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
All righty. And then I think there's one more playing team, but I'm gonna see if you.
I think there's one more. The team I'm thinking of isn't from your country.
Okay.
That's not who you was thinking of. Okay. But yeah, I'm a wait. Oh, then I think there's another one. But I'm gonna go with the, I'm gonna go with the Raptors. I'm gonna keep this one brief. I'm curious to know your thoughts. I think they have the makings of a really good defense. With Scotty Barnes as one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA. I like Jakob Poeltl's ability defensively, just as a anchor five. I think Emmanuel quickly has shown in the past that he can play defense. Quite frankly, I see no hope for this offense in the half court. I just don't think they can score the ball. Outside of Brandon Ingram, there's no one on this team I trust to score reliably in the half court. And I think this is a team that has the make. I think from January 1st to the end of the season, I think they were a top 7 defense in the NBA, and they were like 25th in offense. They get out and run in transition a lot, but they don't score in transition a lot. I think they were like number 2 in transition frequency and then like number 30 in transition efficiency. This team just has very little hope for putting the ball in the basket effectively. And that's why I think their ceiling is going to be in the play-in, because quite frankly, this is going to be one of the most lopsided teams in terms of offense versus defense. So yeah, that's my quick synopsis on why I think they're a playing team.
I'm in agreement. I do think eventually they're going to have to start Grady. I just don't think RJ, Scotty, Ingram, I don't think that's going to work. I really don't. Maybe RJ off the bench, where when he comes in, he can handle the ball or just be like more of a focal point offensively. But those three together, it just looks clunky. If you've seen any of them in the preseason, it just doesn't work with those three off the court. And their offense was going to be predicated off another leap offensively from Scotty Barnes. And so far, we have not seen that whatsoever. So
he had 31 last night.
Oh, he did. Does he now have more points than field goal attempts now? Or
I'd assume so. I could check. But shout out to me, I thought he won against the Knicks, got outscored by MPJ. Yeah, I like Scotty Barnes. I just don't see the offensive upside that some other people do. He shot 45 shots and scored 50 points in the preseason. So just about. Factoring in free throws, probably not, but we're going to ignore that for the sake of this.
Well, there's that. My mods, are we there in my chat? Because I know y'all weren't over there in the YouTube chat because I had to go do some deleting myself over there. But playback mods, if you can stay woke, please. Stay woke. Because it's getting crazy out here in these streets. That means we got motion now, though. Low key. We got a little motion now. You feel
my
me?
mods don't be doing nothing for me, man. I be doing my pod. I be seeing spam, and so I'm having to delete the spam and do timestamp. Like, I'm doing everything. Like, no one trying to help me out, but it's cool, versatile.
Bruh, they were spelling out the word over there on the YouTube chat. I'm like, so nobody's gonna delete this. Okay. Alrighty then. We were talking about the Raptors. Raptors are better than the Suns?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm cool with that right here. Absolutely.
Who's the
I
other
wanted to
team?
put the Grizzlies in this.
That's what
I
I
don't
thought you
know
was
where
talking about,
you
yeah.
wanted to put them. I wanted to put them in this group.
I also want to put the other team in this group, but I know how you feel about them, so I haven't said them. But the Grizzlies I agree with, so we can talk about the Grizzlies if you
want. Okay, fine. So I'm assuming you're talking about the Blazers.
Absolutely, but I know how you feel about them, so I've been leaving them alone.
Got you. The Grizzlies. Now, Ja Morant just got hurt. I don't know if he's playing open tonight. Not sure. Not sure if week to week. Okay. Triple J, I know, was also dealing with the injury. Is he going to be back?
Preseason, so he's there.
He's back. Okay, cool. I do kind of like their starting five. Like, it's cool. Ja.
With Ja?
Yeah, with Ja. Like Ja, Jalen Wells, KCP, Triple J, Zach Edey. Sounds
really
promising.
Good defensive five. Really good defensive
Yeah, I'm not gonna. And if KCP can remember how to shoot again, really might be cooking up something. Because now when Ja Morant
I have my theory about that.
If Ja plays out a pick and roll with either Triple J or Zach Edey, there are some spaces because Jalen Wells can shoot the ball. What a great young player that is, by the way. He's going to make a lot of money in this league. Can definitely shoot the ball and can definitely play defense. Like he is set. So yeah, Jalen Wells as a spacer, Zach Edey's cool as a vertical spacer and a roller. Triple J can shoot sometimes, and then the big sometimes shooter is KCP. Like, my God above. I really hope KCP can bounce back. But like you said, that five should be very good defensively as well. I know this time around is also going to be more Ja-centric as far as like their offense. They kind of lean back into that later on in the season. I'm hoping Ja Morant can have a bounce back year too. The league is better to me when Ja Morant is better. He just brings a different feel to the game. One of the more exciting players in the NBA as well. So I just really hope that Ja Morant can get back. One aspect he did improve on last year, to me, I do think that was his best passing playmaking season. He was really good at doing that. If we could just score the ball at any kind of decent clip again from anywhere on the court, please, that would be lovely. And I also think he was cool defensively too. Like, he tries, he gives his effort. I do think he could definitely stay in front of the ball. He's athletic enough to do that. Now, anywhere else, definitely question marks. But if they do win games, it's going to be predicated a lot off of their starting five. And then Mars, they also have that player I didn't believe was a top 100 player, but he's kind of doing that thing again, even in some of these preseason games in Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome has looked really good over there in Memphis so far, coming off the bench. Very good offensive player. And if he can, alleviate some of that responsibility from John Morant when he goes to the bench, and they can keep their head above water offensively, they could win. They could win a good amount of games in the regular season. I do like them. I just think they're like a piece or two away from really contending as far as like the top 6 in the West.
Yeah, my concern with Memphis is a lot of health.
Mhm.
I like their starting five. I also like Scottie Pippen Jr. and I like Ty
Mhm.
Jerome. I think they've got a lot of good guard depth, a lot of more ball handlers. I also think Ja looked a lot better under their new coach, implementing more
Mhm.
ball screens, allowing Ja to get downhill, really unlock his passing and his rim pressure. He's got the floater that he can get to. Lacks like the mid-range game and the pull-up 3 game. If Ja has a jump shot that he can get to, you really do add another dimension. I also think Jaren is a really good regular season player.
Mhm.
Until I see major improvement, I'm going to have questions about the playoffs for him all the time. But majorly impactful defender and a really good offensive player in the regular season with his driving ability and his counters and his floater game. So I think they have a lot of potential to be a really good regular season team. I think they have the potential to be a top 10 defense, middle of the pack offense. And I think that can get you. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a healthy Memphis and they're a 6, 7, 8 seed. I wouldn't be surprised. Now,
Mhm.
do they win in the play-in? I don't know. But I really wouldn't be surprised if that was the level of team they are. I do think people are sleeping on them somewhat. But ultimately, the West is just so stacked that I probably do see them ending up in the play-in, especially with the health concerns I have up and down the roster. Ty Jerome just got hurt last night in the preseason. So,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's tough. And I think Scottie Pippen Jr. is hurt currently. So, like,
He is.
it's tough right now.
Mhm.
So that's my biggest concern with the Grizzlies. But I do think they are a talented team.
Health is going to be such a major factor in the Western Conference this year because you just you can't afford to drop games, bro. Like you literally cannot afford to drop any games in the Western Conference. I think this is going to be the best Western Conference since what was the
2010
year?
had
Was it
850 win teams.
yeah,
2010.
the 850 win teams? Yeah. Cool. All right, we both kind of like Memphis. I think we're around the same.
Yeah, I have them near
Like
the.
Memphis
I have
fans.
them.
Near
I
the
like
top, right?
them third. I like them third. I like them third.
Hmm. Okay. Now we are to playoff teams, right? We are the playoff teams. One, two.
Took an hour and a half, but we're here. Yeah.
Okay, brother. Okay, brother. Look, we're gonna be done by another 30, 45. We're gonna be up out of here. Hopefully closer to the 32. Now, people said cap. It may be. It may be. It may
Hey
be.
man, I got places to be in an hour and a half. As long as you don't
I
take
know,
that
I
long,
know, I
we'll be
know, I
good.
know. You
Yeah,
got,
as
you
long as you
got,
don't
you
take that
got,
long,
you
we'll
got.
be good.
I know. Also, shout out to the 170 plus over there on YouTube, man. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like on the stream. You know what I'm saying, and make sure you check that description so you can be able to join the playback room as well, and hit that notification bell. Now, playoff teams. Let's start off with. Oh, also, you do see there's a difference between the deep playoff run and just playoff. Just want to make
Yes,
sure we
yes.
see that.
We're talking about these teams, playoff teams. Like we're looking at first round exits,
Yeah.
maybe a hard fought series, but really
Yeah. Happy to be here. Yeah.
yeah.
Happy to be here, team.
So go ahead and put the team that I've managed to let you slide in the play-in. There
Absolutely.
you
We're going to start off
go.
with
There you go.
Portland right here because they're just going to be happy to make it. I am very high on Portland because of the Rockets last year. Now, everybody may not be able to, replicate what the Rockets did, but I'm looking for a jump from Shaden Sharp. I really like the Drew Holiday pickup. Tumani's one of the best defenders in the league. Um, Klingon, one of the best rim protectors in the league. Denny is very, very, very good. So I think they're going to defend at a very high level, and I think because outside of Drew Holiday, the youthfulness of their team is going to allow them to play relative to their pretty close to their ceiling majority of the time. I think youthfulness, it gets downplayed a lot in like playoff scenarios, but to me, it doesn't get hyped up enough in the regular season. Like a team like OKC last year, the reason why they can play the way that they play is because they're a young team. They have the energy to do so on a night in, night out basis. These veteran teams, right, you have a lot of talent on them, but you don't know the effort can fluctuate on those kind of teams. The effort for young teams is kind of there, especially if they're well coached, pretty consistently. So what I'm believing is that Portland is going to play Portland basketball for 82 straight games. Now, whether that wins them 50 plus games or 45 plus games, that's to be determined. I just think that they're going to be a close to average team night in and night out because they're young, they have offensive talent, and the defensive pieces are there. And I think defense, elite defense, as you've been saying, and I've been sharing this sentiment throughout the whole season, these teams that have these very high, very good defenses provide themselves a very high floor in the regular season, in my opinion. And I think you've also shared that sentiment. So where do you stand on Portland?
I see the vision. I got them in the play-in, but I see the vision. Been Tamani Kamara FC, I guess, for a little while since he got drafted. One of the best defenders in the league. I think he's one of the most versatile switchable defenders in the NBA for sure. Donovan Clingan, a dominant rim protector who's a really good offensive rebounder. Don't like much else with his offensive game. Not in the way it's been explored in Portland, but I do really like his offensive rebounding. Looks to be in better shape, so he's able to play more minutes consistently, hopefully not in as much foul trouble, which I think is huge. If Donovan Clingan is out there on the court alongside a guy like Tamani, I do think you have the makings of an elite defense just with those two. And then you add a Denny Avdia, who I do think is a capable defender, especially away from the ball with his playmaking. I do like him in some spaces, chasing around screens, especially if he's not over leveraged offensively. I'm with you on the Shade and Sharp stuff. I do think he's probably their most gifted scorer, especially in the half court. But I need to see. I have too many questions about that half court offense. I like Denny in transition, but I have questions about his ability to slow down in the half court. Hasn't shown much of an intermediate game as a driver. It's a lot of downhill, barreling towards the rim, not much in terms of pace and control. Shaden, despite being one of the most explosive vertical athletes, isn't actually the most gifted in terms of first step and twitchiness to get downhill. Relies on a lot on outside shooting, which he hasn't shown to be an elite three-point shooter, which you got to project and hope that he can do that, but he's been inconsistent in the preseason. Jeremy Grant is someone who I've pretty much lost all stock in. So offensively is where I have the question marks. I'm with you on everything you said defensively on a consistent game-to-game basis and what their baseline level of production is going to be. I can see them holding teams under 110 consistently. But if they lose a game 107, 104, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just I struggle to see where the offense is going to come from. And in this Western Conference, I agree with the defensive point. But I think there are 6 teams who I also trust their defense. And I trust them, especially close games, closing out games. Crunch time, I trust them to execute more consistently. So I have the Blazers as a play-in team, but I would have them towards the top of that group. But I definitely have them in the play-in. But I'm fine for your channel to have them in the playoffs as a 6 seed that can make it based on the strength of their defense.
Fairs. Isn't it your turn now to pick one of the teams?
Yes, it is my turn. Where do I want to go with this? I'm going to go with... I would have had this team in the play-in low-key. But I know how you feel about them. So actually, I'm going to leave them. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a team that I think has the potential to be a really good regular season team. A lot of spacing around Giannis as one of the most dangerous downhill players in NBA history, whether that be in transition or in the half court. You surround him with a Torian Prince, knockdown three-point shooter. AJ Green, knockdown three-point shooter. KPJ, when he was in Milwaukee, was shooting the 3 at a high clip. Ryan Rollins is someone who I think can shoot the hell out of the ball and probably needs more minutes, but we'll talk about that, I guess. Bobby Portis can knock down the three. Adding Miles Turner as a stretch five with more mobility than Brook Lopez, that helps. It's really just going to be a lot of Giannis-centric offense, and I think that is the recipe for success in the regular season. Defensively, I have my concerns. I do like KPJ. I like what he brought defensively when he was there. I like Ryan Rollins defensively. I think Gary Trent Jr. is adequate. I think AJ Green is competent within a team scheme. I think Taurean Prince is competent within a team scheme. I think Giannis is still one of the better defenders in the NBA. I think Miles Turner is a really good shot blocker. You add all of that together, I'm looking at a team that if the Bucks were a top 7 offense in the NBA this regular season, I wouldn't be surprised. And if they were a 14, 15 ranked defense, I wouldn't be surprised. And in this Eastern Conference, I think that's enough to get in to the playoffs without the need for the play-in. You have one of the 3 best players on the planet playing at the peak of his offensive powers, and you give him what he needs most, which is spacing. I think that's a regular season success story. Now, do I think they can go on a deep playoff run with this roster? Absolutely not. But that's why I have them as a playoff team. Now, all of this falls apart if I don't see Giannis for 68, 70 games. But he's shown me he's been relatively durable in the regular season. So I'm going to bank on that and have them as a playoff team.
I'm with you on that. With you there. Major, where you at? Where's Major? Put the Bucks on the playoff team, man.
I have them above the Blazers, by the way.
I'm in agreement because of Giannis. You said one of the 3 best players, one of the 2. But fairs. I get
there's a team I haven't said yet for a reason. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna go with the Pistons.
Okay.
In this category. I think the Pistons are on a great trajectory. Right. I think the Cade Cunningham development is definitely on track. I think Cade Cunningham is going to have a fantastic season this upcoming year. I think he's going to be I wouldn't be surprised if he finished 5th, 6th in MVP voting. Not saying he's going to be the 5th, 6th best player in the league, but I do think, another year of being really good in the regular season with that Pistons team, especially now you have built in again maybe another questionable Ivy season because he's already starting off the year, not healthy. And I like the Duncan Robinson pickup, kind of replace what Malik Beasley did for that team last year. Probably not as good as Malik Beasley was last year because Malik Beasley had arguably the best year of his career last season, right? So you can't just bake on somebody playing that well, but relatively, I think he can do a lot of what Malik Beasley did. Also, like Jalen Duren, very good young big man, a lot of promise there. If he can just clean up a few things defensively, foul a little bit less, being better positioning. Also, a very good roller and a good passer out of the short roll as well. And Tobias Harris is a very good regular season player. Please emphasize that regular season part. But yes, very good regular season player. He's going to hit corner threes, score a little bit in isolation when you need to in that little mini post up game that he has. And Asar Thompson. Let's not forget one of the best defenders in the league. So yeah, I really like Detroit. I think they're going to win a good amount of games in the regular season. I think Cade is going to average. I think Cade's stat line this year is going to be like 28 and a half, 8 and 9. It's going to look very Luka-ish. And I know that's kind of like his comp for some people. Not saying that he is as good as Luka Doncic, but I'm saying like the volume in which he's going to handle the ball and have the ball, that's going to produce a lot of, PRA for him. And because he's just that good of a player. And then he is a quality defender on top of that as well. So that's kind of my outlook on the Pistons.
Yeah, I agree. This is a team that I think is hanging its hat on defense and saying Cade can kind of bring us to an adequate level offensively. I think Duncan Robinson is a better player than Malik Beasley, but won't have as good of a season as what Malik Beasley had last year. Because to your point, Malik Beasley had an amazing year, but Duncan Robinson brings extra layers as a passer, someone who can play out of DHO. He had a real good connection with Bam. I think he can replicate some of that with Jalen Duren, who's a really good screener, really hard roller, amazing vertical spacer. I expect that to be an added layer to the Pistons offense, something they didn't have with Malik Beasley. I really like the Karis LeVert addition as a secondary ball handler. I favor him over Jaden Ivey. I understand Jaden Ivey being the young guy, the top 5 pick. I'm not as high on him. Hopefully he can be healthy though, because I do think having someone with that elite first step athleticism who can get into the teeth of the defense is valuable. But I do value Karis LeVert's playmaking, passing, mid-range scoring. And then
Karis LeVert,
yeah, Karis LeVert. And then also another player you didn't mention, Isaiah Stewart, one of the most impactful defensive bigs, rim protectors in the NBA. Kind of gets forgotten about a little bit because he got hurt in the playoffs, so didn't get to really show up against the Knicks, but really impactful defender. Offensively, not much there in terms of outside shooting or rim finishing. So pretty much a defense only player, but really valuable. Alongside Asar Thompson, who's pretty much a defense only player as well. I like the makeup of this team, and to your Cade Cunningham point, I do think he is one of the better floor raisers in basketball. And he looks like he's gotten physically stronger. It looks like he's going down the route of, I don't have a major quickness advantage, but I'm stronger than most guys at my position. And if he's able to leverage that into cleaner looks at the rim and improving his pull-up three-point shot, we're looking at, I can see the stat line that you put forward. Hopefully he can cut down the turnovers for the playoff stuff, but I see the Pistons being a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I did notice that too. Like he's definitely bulked up some during the off season. Hopefully he doesn't, turn into Luka a little bit where it gets out of control.
I think they're better than the Bucks. Yeah.
You think they're better than the Bucks? Okay.
Yeah.
Do I believe that? They're a better overall team. You kind of, I don't know. You don't want to say the Pistons are like better than Giannis, but
yeah, there's a Giannis size part. Which makes sense. Yeah, I'm fine with them being second or first. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm with you. They are they're a better collection.
It's on me, right?
Yeah.
People are saying Dallas. I would have had Dallas in playing just for what it's worth. But I know Real Talk's high on Dallas and it's his channel. So I'm leaving like the ones that I know his opinion on for him. I'm gonna go with the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Atlanta Hawks are a playoff team. I like everything about their roster. They have one of the low-end estimates, so no one gets mad. One of the 5 best passers on the planet. One of the best pick and roll players on the planet. One of the best lob passers on the planet. One of the best floater shooters on the planet. And then you combine that where his major weakness is his defense and his size, and you surround him with a bunch of length, athleticism, and defense. That's a good recipe. Porzingis, I think, is going to be huge for them. I've really liked what I've seen from him in the preseason, looking like the Porzingis that we know, the one who can attack mismatches, shoot over the top, stretch the defense, do all of the play finishing stuff, and punish defenses for the most typical coverages. Just what you can expect from Porzingis. Really like Jalen Johnson as a transition weapon, someone who can get to the rim. Someone who has really good feel as a playmaker and passer as well. Zachary Risachet looks like he's going to be really good this year. Obviously, a lot of people have number 1 pick expectations, especially when you've been followed by Cooper Flag and were preceded by Wemby. You're the one in the middle, and I don't see that upside with him, but I do see someone who can be really, really impactful as an off-ball mover, as an off-ball shooter, who just understands how to play the game the right way. He looks stronger physically as well. And then Dyson Daniels, one of the best perimeter defenders on the sport, especially in isolation, can really lock down pretty much anyone, force turnovers, which really has helped with next to Trae Young, because Trae's going to commit 3-4 turnovers a game, but then you have someone on your side who can force 3 or 4 turnovers a game, kind of equaling that out, making Trae Young's turnovers pretty much worth it, if that makes sense. Only reason I don't see them in the deep playoff run category is I don't like their ball handling outside of Trae Young. That's my only real concern with this team. When Trae Young's on the bench, or if Trae Young isn't having a great game, who do I look to? And I'm like, I trust you to initiate offense or a driver closeout and make consistent decisions. I
Mhm.
don't see that on the roster, and like their next best option is like Luke Kennard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I think are cool. But when we're talking about going deep in the playoffs, if they're your next best ball handlers, I do think there's a concern. I know some people look at Jalen Johnson for that, but I have not seen the indication that he can be a half-court initiator creator. A lot of his offense is either in transition or created for him, which is not a problem. But projecting that level of growth, I do think is tough for a big forward like Jalen Johnson is. So that's why I have them as a playoff team.
Interesting development for Atlanta to me would be, yeah, they don't have another like ball handler that can initiate that via like pick and roll or breaking somebody down off the dribble, but they should test out like Jalen Johnson mid post isolation touches. Like, hey, if we can just get the ball up the court, let's see what Jalen Johnson can do in this isolate. And he doesn't have to dribble into it. He'll catch it, turn face. And then if we get to play out of that, and I'm sure you're finna pull up like what he does in isolation, points per possession.
I can do that. Yeah, I can do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But if he can do that, like kind of what Pascal Siakam does for Indiana, like they can throw it to Pascal in like the mid post, and Pascal can either score out of that or he can play make and pass out of that if he can collapse the defense. If Jalen Johnson can try to do that, maybe, but I'm still in agreement with you. Like when Trey goes to the bench, it's gonna look. I don't know how it's gonna look out there offensively for Atlanta.
The
To be
numbers
honest
for
with you.
Jalen Johnson in those play types last year were not promising. In
Yeah.
isolation, he was in the 7th percentile of efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shot 22% from the field and had a turnover rate of 22%. And then in the post, he was in the 18th percentile of efficiency, shot 41% from the field and had a turnover rate of 19%. This preseason is a very small sample, so they didn't really go to it that much. With him, he only isolated a total of once. He did not score, and he only had one post up in which he did score. So hey, he's never missed a post up this year. So there you go. Do with that what you will. But yeah, there's not much to go off of there in terms of foundation. So it's tough. But I do agree with you. That would be ideal. But we haven't had much to go off of that.
Yeah. Also, a very big year for Trae Young because they haven't offered him an extension yet, and I'm pretty sure they're waiting to see. Like, hey, we've kind of given you,
Yeah, this is the best team he's had.
centric, right? You have some play finishing, you have the defenders around you. Let's see how Trae Young looks, and for him, he just needs to be able to score. Can we get back to like league average, slightly above league average efficiency when it comes to scoring? If he can do that, then he'll be back to being like a top 15-ish player because I'm in agreement with you. The pick and roll, the passing, the playmaking is unbelievable out of Trae Young. Where would you rank Atlanta as far as the playoff teams?
I'd have them below the Pistons for sure. Do I have them above the Bucks? I'm gonna just say because of the secondary ball handling concerns, I'm a favor the Bucks. I don't want to slander Giannis a little bit too much. I'm gonna put some faith in him, so I'm gonna have them third in this bracket.
Okay. Fair. What's up, Mike? I do agree they're worse than the Bucks. This is my turn now. Do we have any more just happen to be here's? Yeah, we do. And I know, Morris isn't gonna be happy. I have the 76ers are a happy to be here playoff team. Reasons being, let me get back to the more now.
Seeing a team that definitely better them, by the way.
Thank you. Now, reasons being, Joel Embiid health concerns, obviously. I mean, that's first and foremost. Oh yeah, I did forget about that team, but yeah, we'll talk about them. Um, Joel Embiid, health concerns, obviously. If he can play the games, then maybe. But I'm also just not as sold as some others as how good is healthy Joel Embiid now anyway. Right? We saw him play last night. He looked good, but he didn't look to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
we're gonna
people are
be
saying
way off
top
here. Yeah, we're
six,
gonna be way off. Yeah,
top five still in the league. I just I don't see that. I don't see that anymore. I'm sorry. He's lost a lot of weight. That's number one. I do think that's going to be good for him though, as far as his availability on the court. But as much of a jump shot reliant player as he already was, I think he's going to be even more jump shot reliant. And also, I don't know about his mobility as far as being the defensive player that he once was as well. So I don't know. I think he's top 10, but as far as like getting back to 23, 24 Embiid, where he's like in best in the world talks, I do think those days are kind of gone. Now, moving on to like the Paul Georges of the world, we have to see what Paul George looks like after that horrific season he had last year. And that's another player that doesn't generate well, he's even worse than Joel Embiid. No rim pressure at all. He's all jump shot reliant at this point. Still can be a plus defensively, but not on the ball like he used to be, obviously. But yeah, it's either jump shots going in or not for Paul George at this point. Tyrese Maxey, I like him as a player. He's pretty much plateaued to me though. We kind of know what Tyrese Maxey is, which is again a really good player. Can shoot the ball, can get downhill. Just now never gonna like stun you with his passing and playmaking though. Like he's solid at best in those categories, but he can score the ball. He can shoot the ball. Now I am interested in their rookie VJ. VJ is an interesting prospect. He's I wouldn't say an S tier athlete, but he's one of those kind of ones athletically, very special athlete. And if he can just hit spot threes and attack closeouts decent, he's going to find himself on the court for sure. And then you have who else is on that roster over there?
Quentin Grimes.
Quentin Grimes. They were able to keep Quentin Grimes. He didn't look great so far in the preseason, but he's just getting back. He's going to get in the flow of things. So they do have a two guard that can start over VJ if they need him to do that. Real talk, just lied. No, I didn't. He kind of looked mid when I saw him last night. I didn't watch him last night. I watched him another game, but yeah, they're going to be a good team, playoff team, all dependent on Joel Embiid and his health. He only played one game. Well, then he looked mid to me. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stay away from obviously why we disagree. I think Philly obviously have a lot of question marks, similar to Memphis, really. Like most of the question marks are going to be health related, so I think that goes without saying. Whether that be Embiid, whether that be Jared McCain, whether that be Paul George, even Tyrese Maxey missed a lot of time last year. If this team's fully healthy, I think they're really good. I think the question marks they have is overall lineup versatility. I think they lack a lot of high level wings. I think a lot of their best players are guards, whether you're looking at Maxey, Quentin Grimes, McCain, even Edgecombe is like 6'5". So I think when you're looking in the wing department, you've really only got Paul George and Kelly Oubre. And I think Paul George is getting slightly slept on because I do think he had a good defensive year last year. And offensively, he was over leveraged. So the lack of rim pressure was more problematic. I think now using him more in the off-ball tertiary role where he is going to be a movement shooter, someone who is able to get the ball in late clock situations and get you bailout opportunities, all of that stuff. I do think you probably maximize what Paul George is offensively at this point in his career. Tyrese Maxey is excellent in terms of his synergy with Joel, whether that be coming off DHOs, getting into the teeth of the defense, being one of the elite shooters in the league. kind of puts him in positions where a lot of his passing reads are simple, so he's not over leveraged in that regard. And then when it comes to Joel Embiid, yeah, I just think what I saw from Joel was he looked really good. He played 20 minutes, got to the rim on multiple occasions, using multiple very loosely because it was twice. But got to the rim on multiple occasions. I also think you can mitigate a lack of rim pressure, which Joel apparently has, with being one of the best at drawing free throws. And I think Joel Embiid is going to be one of the best at drawing free throws. And he's going to make them at a high clip, which means that you're going to have some efficient offense. Although he is mid-range reliant, jump shot reliant, you are going to have 10 free throws a game at a 90% clip. That's 5 possessions in which you got 9 points. So you can shoot 50% on mid-range jumpers and not take many rim attempts and still be one of the most efficient scorers in the NBA. Defensively, he looked engaged. He looked active. He looked like he was moving as good as you could hope for someone who hasn't played in 7 months. And also, I think one thing that's going to help keep him available is the fact that he's looking for outlet passes consistently. That's a conscious decision he's making. And if he's able to help his team spark fast breaks, he doesn't need to get up the floor. He doesn't need to get up and down. If he's able to create easy offense for his teammates in that regard, and then he can play as a trailer and then play out of dribble handoffs. And also one thing is, outside of his first possession, I don't know if you saw it because you said you was watching another game. Adembona won the tip-off and Joel caught the ball, ran and launched a 3 in about 5 seconds. Outside of that, he played a very poised game. If he didn't like what he had, he reset the possession, played into the handoff game. It didn't really force any shots that you're like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have took that one. And I think that patience and that ball movement is something that we hadn't seen from Philly, especially last year. So you combine ball movement with one of the most dominant scorers in the NBA, in my opinion, a great two-way big. I think that floor is this team, when healthy, is one of the better teams in the conference. But I'm fine having them as a playoff team because of the health concerns, similar to why we had the Grizzlies, where we had them because of health concerns. So I'm fine with that. But I do think the Joel Embiid I saw last night looked good. I'll say that he looked good.
I think we're just we're definitely on the opposite ends when it comes to Joel Embiid. As far like you're very optimistic, I'm pessimistic.
Yeah, you don't want to fall for the trap, and I'm here like, hey,
and you're
trap me down
here. You're there, but and also just I have to not look at him through a lens of what he used to be and just see him for what he is, and maybe I'll be more so on your side, but he's not 23, 24 Joel Embiid.
I'll just say he looked good. He looked like he was a willing driver. There was one time he drove. He got a charge, but he drove. Another time he drove a closeout, Euro step finger roll. Another one I told you about, he went coast to coast, deceleration, finish at the rim. Another time he got himself a deep seal, got a shot blocked at the rim. I'm not just saying the good moments, but like he looked willing. And then obviously the mid-range stuff is always going to be there. Counters, drawing fouls, up fakes, getting guys to jump into him, all of that good stuff. And then obviously, like I said, the conscious decision to throw outlets. He looked like he had an overall well-rounded game and was engaged on defense and was still impactful on that side of the ball. So yeah, I liked what I saw, especially in 19 minutes, first game in 7 months. He looked a lot better than he did the last time I saw him in February. A lot better, just movement-wise, he looked a lot better.
You're right. What you said in chat. We're gonna move Boston to the play-in.
Thank you. Yeah, we forgot about them. Yeah,
below the Pelicans in front of the Bulls.
If that's where you want to put them, I'm fine with that.
Because I don't think they're going to be terrible. Because they still have some.
I'd have them. I'd just have them above the Pelicans, below the Pacers, but it's one spot, so it doesn't make much difference to me.
Okay. They might be better than the Pelicans simply off the conference that they're in.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fine. Next, can you stop doing that, Major?
We have how many teams left? 3, 6. We have 9 teams left, and I have about 50 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're gonna go put Go ahead and put Dallas as a playoff team.
Do
Put
you
them at the
believe that,
top
or are
though
you
for
just
me.
putting them there? Okay.
Put them at the top because
So you
there
think
are some
Dallas are happy to
concerns.
be there?
Put them at the top of the. There are some concerns. Hold on. Not remove from stream. Get off your screen, Major, because playback's not allowing me to do it anymore. I don't know. Thank you. The Mavs, I'm having some concerns about them and their spacing. Um, Now, obviously, some would say this is an obvious issue that they were going to run into, which is very fair. I just didn't know it was going to look that bad without Kyrie Irving. Um, it's looking bad offensively, and I know it's just preseason, but it's not looking great for them. I was counting on D'Angelo Russell being a field stop until Kyrie gets back, but my goodness, D'Angelo Russell. Wowzers, man. He may not be too good anymore. Like, if they got 23, 24 D'Lo, they would have been fine because D'Lo that year was a really good player. Like, legit was a really good regular season player. But he hasn't looked like that. He didn't look like that last year. And so far this year, he hasn't looked like that either. And I don't know. When they do the double big lineup, that leads to a lot of AD like camping out in the corner or feeling like he needs to shoot threes, and I'm not encouraged by it. Cooper Flag also is the greatest jump shooter himself. Now, what they're obviously going to be banking on is being one of the bigger teams in the league, being great defensively at the rim, and rebounding and trying to get out and play early offense so they don't have to play against set defenses, which I think they can do because they have some really good athletes on the team. Cooper Flag, I think PJ can get out in transition and finish. AD, at least offensively, can definitely get out in transition. Defensively, doesn't really do that anymore, but can definitely do that in offense. But I'm concerned for them offensively. Now, once they get Kyrie, very intrigued on what they're going to look like on the offensive side of the ball. But until then, they're going to be not just mid, but maybe even like a bad offense. So that's why I've kind of gotten lower on them. Initially, I thought they could teeter around mid to slightly below average. They're going to be bad. And that has shifted my opinion on them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the highest on this Dallas team. I would have had them in the play-in personally. Especially knowing Kyrie's not going to be here for the first part of the season. This is a team where my biggest concern is I don't know who I trust to consistently beat their man off the dribble on this roster. And we're talking about offense is all about creating advantages and then playing out of those advantages. I don't know where the first advantage is coming from, if I'm being completely honest. And then looking at the fit between AD and these double big lineups, I'm watching AD come off screens in the corner like he's a wing. It's and then it's turning into middle of the floor isolations, in which I'm not the biggest fan of AD's self-creation bag at this point in his career. I'm just lower on AD as an offensive player. That's, I guess, a disagreement I have with a few people. I also just don't think Cooper Flag is the ball handler or explosive athlete to the point where he can consistently generate rim pressure. I don't think D'Lo is that in any regards. I just think the offensive fit, to your point, is clunky. And then I guess the thing that maybe other people haven't considered or just don't agree with me on, I don't think the defense is as good as I think people think it could be because of the personnel. I don't see a single POA on this team. I see a lot of wing defenders or a lot of secondary rim protection, and I think that's valuable. But if I'm looking at certain matchups, I'm not going into matchups with Max Christie as my POA thinking, yeah, I like our chances. And I understand if you have a bunch of bigs who can make rotations, but at the end, if all of you guys, if the whole plan is funnel guys to the rim and we're going to collapse, it just sounds like a defense that's preparing to give up a bunch of open threes. And I'm just not, that doesn't sit right with me, knowing that I also see the issues I see with the offense. So for me, this is a playing team, especially without Kyrie. But I'm fine with them being a playoff team. I definitely wouldn't have them at the top of the list, but I'm fine with them being a playoff team because of the rim protection, the size, the rebounding, and then adding in Kyrie as one of the best shot creators in the NBA to that formula. I do think can be a good playoff team. And can cause problems in a bunch of matchups, especially if they come up against a team that lacks outside shooting. I can see them beating them. So I'm fine with them being here, but I have a lot of concerns about Dallas.
One thing I do agree with you as far as the perimeter issues or the concerns defensively, which is why when I've been watching them, I'm pretty sure Jason Kidd is going to go a lot of zone. I do think this team can be a devastating zone team with all of that length on the court, and I think that's going to be their best avenue as far as being the elite defense that they need to be and rely on. Yeah, because you're right. I don't really see it on the perimeter. Max Christie to me is like one of the I don't know how old he is now, but it's like if you're just not going to quite be that guy that people really want you to be, then we just can't really play you. So that's kind of where he's at now. But yeah, they need to be zone heavy for sure. I would have them as the best in this group. I don't know where you would.
I'm fine with them being here. I just want to. I know you're probably gonna have this team in the next group up. No, I'm gonna stay quiet. Actually, never mind. I'm fine with them being in the next group up, so that's cool. Yeah, I'm fine with the Dallas Mavericks being at the top.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Now, to me, we're done with the playoff team section.
Okay, that's fine.
Next section we have deep playoff run. No, it is your turn to pick a team. Where would you rank, or what team would you pick first for deep playoff run?
So deep playoff run, just to clarify, is a team that we can see get into a hard fought second round, 7 games, get to a conference finals, but we can't see them winning the title. Right?
Correct.
Looking at this, okay, I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay. This is a team that for the past few years, I think, have been in this group where they're good enough to make the conference finals, and then ultimately, whichever team is on the other side of the bracket mops the floor with them. And they've largely stayed the same in terms of personnel. Now, a lot of this is hinging on, has Anthony Edwards added that intermediate game to his bag, and has he become practically this unstoppable scoring weapon? I wouldn't put it past him. I'll say that. I also think Julius Randle, when he came back from injury in about January or whenever it was, looked like he finally found his footing on the roster, and he's his fit in terms of being a post-up guy who can facilitate and create for others and isn't stealing possessions. I think he looked really good his second half of the season. I really like that 1-2 punch offensively. I think we saw last year, Mike Conley was on his last legs last year, and now he's coming back, and I think he's still their starting point guard. That's a concern for me. He doesn't bring defensive punch. He brings defensive IQ, but doesn't bring any sort of athleticism or length to the degree where he can really make an impact on that side of the ball. And offensively, he's an intelligent player once again, but the outside shot has been inconsistent last year, and he has no inside the arc game at all that he can get to with any reliability. And Rudy Gobert, really good screener, and he can crash the offensive glass. Defensively, I also think Rudy took a step back last year. And he's been like the consistent defensive anchor. You know, you're gonna have a top 5 defense with Rudy Gobert. I don't know if he's that anymore. I do like Jaden McDaniels as a screen navigator and a point of attack guy. I think he stepped up again defensively last year after a down year in 24, which I really like. And he's also got intriguing offensive flashes. So I like the Timberwolves. I don't think they're a roster with a bunch of flaws. I think their biggest flaw is that I don't think they have a consistent lead initiator that I can trust to play 30 minutes a night. I would have loved for them to go get Lonzo Ball. And I also think the decline of Rudy Gobert is going to slightly lower their defensive ceiling to where before I'd have them as a penciled in top 5-ish level defense. Now I have them as a top 10-ish level defense. And then offensively, I have just enough question marks about the pieces around Ant and Julius Randle, particularly Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley, to where I think losing Nikhil is also a big deal. So I have them as a playoff team that probably will win in round one, but getting to the conference finals, looking at teams in the West, depends on matchups, maybe, but whoever comes out the other side of the bracket, I don't see them getting to the finals.
I'm with you on that. I second basically everything you just said, but I am interested in seeing how like Terrence Shannon looks for them this year. Another team I'm going to put here, unfortunately, are the Houston Rockets. I think the Houston Rockets definitely have the qualities to make a deep playoff run. However, the loss of Fred VanVleet, I think, is just going to bite them in the arse once the playoffs come around. Amin Thompson as your point guard. Now, unless, they make a move during the trade deadline, we shall see. But I don't see them being able to win it all. Really good team, though, obviously, going to be great defensively. They definitely got Kevin Durant, so that's going to be obviously a plus. You replace Jalen Green basically with Kevin Durant. But the ball handling, the decision making, the playmaking, and ironically enough, though, still not much downhill pressure from this group either, outside of like Sengun, maybe. But KD is not somebody that gets downhill at this point in his career. Amin, you would like for him to. I think he can like transition to semi-transition, but because of the handle, I don't know how much he can in a half-court setting. And then everybody else is kind of, feeding off the creation of Amin, Sengun, and Kevin Durant. Now, Paul Reed Shepard is somebody that's going to be getting brought up and playing for them. We'll see how he looks as far as at the guard position. But yeah, they're going to be an elite defensive team. They're still going to be an elite rebounding team. I think they're going to also shoot the ball a little bit better than some people think. I like Jabari as a shooter. Reed Shepard can shoot the ball. Obviously, Kevin Durant can shoot the ball. You got to also remember, I'm pretty sure Dorian Finney-Smith is still on this roster. Dorian Finney-Smith in the regular season makes shots. So I think they're going to shoot the ball a little bit better than what some people think. But all in all, by the time they get to the playoffs, that lack of ball handling and table setting and decision making is going to cost them in the end of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're a tough team because obviously losing Fred, losing the guy who creates a lot of their offense, doesn't turn the ball over, all of that good stuff, and replacing him with Amen Thompson and Reed Shepard has its downsides. I think Amen looked good in preseason, not so much as a point guard, but looked good in preseason. Reed Shepard also showed flashes in preseason, especially defensively, showing that he can hold up at his size, which I do think was a concern. I think the calling card for this Houston team is going to be their size. You kind of alluded to it, but these double big lineups, now you add a Kevin Durant to it. Like, they could run out lineups with Amen, KD, Jabari, Steven Adams, and Şengün, and they might just get every rebound on the court, where it doesn't matter if I have concerns about turnovers. Because at the end of the day, you can turn the ball over on every fifth play, but if you get every missed shot, okay.
Possession battle. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that. I think the reason the Rockets are so hard to gauge is because they play such a different style of basketball to everyone else. And it's kind of, we haven't really seen a team dominate the offensive glass the way they're going to and the way they did last year. And then you add the half-court scoring weapon, which is Kevin Durant, who I could argue is still one of the most potent half-court scorers in the world. I do think that makes a big difference. Şengün is probably the only one who I can trust to generate rim pressure in the half-court as a driver. I really like him as a driver. Men's issues is that, quite frankly, no one guards him outside of 20 feet, so he's being gapped off of and has a weak handle. So even though he has one of the best first steps I've ever seen, he's running straight into collapsed defenses already, so it's tough for him. But I think there's going to be a really good regular season team, top 3 defense. I have them penciled in as that. In the playoffs, I can see them getting on a nice little run, getting to the second round. But the moment they run up against a team that can really shrink the floor and force turnovers, I struggle to see how they're going to get over that hump. So I do see them as a deep playoff run, but I don't see them winning a title.
Same. Who is your next team here?
See, if I'm being honest, there's only one team I would have here, and I know you don't agree with it. So I'm gonna say the New York Knicks. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think this team has that many flaws. I think this team is a really good offense, spearheaded by Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. And I really like their defensive personnel with Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Deuce McBride, and Mitchell Robinson. The floor I can go to is their 2 best players, arguably highest minute players, but like because of like Mikal and them. But like their 2 most important players are their 2 biggest weaknesses in the playoffs, if that makes sense. Not because they play badly, but because they are what teams target. They are definitely what teams go in on their scouting report. Like, okay, put these 2 in the action, and you're gonna have them both out there for a lot of time. So the reason I don't see them winning a championship is I don't see them getting away with having to protect those 2 for 4 straight series. I think they're going to be a really good offense, and I think in the regular season, when they are able to stagger more minutes and they are able to be more flexible with lineups, they can put forth some good defensive lineups with Mitchell Robinson out there with Jalen Brunson, and then Mikal and OG, and then Cat sharing the floor with Deuce McBride and whatever. I think they can mix and match lineups to where you can make it work. But in the playoffs, when you get deeper and you have to come up against these teams that we're talking about that are left, do I see them being able to hide both of them? No. That's quite simply it. So that's why I wouldn't have them in the title contenders tier. But regular season wise, I don't see many weaknesses with this team. You sounded surprised. So I am curious to know what weaknesses you see with this team that I may be missing.
No, it's just I've never heard anybody say that about the Knicks before, so it just took me aback. So I just had to think about it. And truth be told, to be honest, it's not a bad take because I just think maybe because as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like maybe I am kind of low on the Knicks because they were losing to Indiana. But like to be fair, I think Indiana causes such a problem in the playoffs for a lot of teams because of the pace in which they play. Like they did beat Boston. Like that was a thing. Right. So the Knicks were obviously very, very, very good even last season. So yeah, I don't believe that was a fluke. I just think maybe they could make a finals run now because that Pacers team really just they attack your mismatches so regularly and so consistently. And to me, they do that pretty much better than any other team in the league. And that could be, a big shout out to Tyrese Halliburton, but I'm not going to give it to him. But shout out to him though. Yeah, the Knicks are really good. I'm with you on that. Where do you want to rank them as far as on this list?
I think they're the best team of those 3.
Okay.
I think the Knicks are really good.
Yeah, you almost sound like you want to put them in title contender. Honestly,
the only 2 teams I would have in this tier. No, I would have 3 teams in this tier, but I know one of them is a team you have as a contender, so I'm not saying. But the Timberwolves and Rockets would be the 2 I would keep here, and I would have everyone else in the title contender tier.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, personally, but I'm fine with the Knicks here because I can see the avenue in which, like, does it make sense if I could see the Knicks making the finals, but then losing in the finals because of the weaknesses I illustrated? But I can also see them losing in round 2 because of I just don't know if you can win 4 series hiding Brunson and Cat. That's why I would have them in deep playoff run, because it's just tough to win 4 straight hiding 2 liabilities like that.
To me, though, in theory, they were able to beat a team in which I thought that would definitely be their biggest problem in the Celtics last year.
Yeah, but that team shot 24% from three.
That is,
Like
but I
they
mean,
are just like
shot
they are the
variances.
volatility kings. Yeah, so it's like I'm not gonna discredit the Knicks for beating the Celtics because at the end of the day, you have to beat the Celtics, and the way they closed games and came back was amazing. But everyone knew this. The reason the Celtics would lose would be because they would go cold at the wrong time, and quite frankly, they did. So I wouldn't say they were overcoming the fact that they had to hide Brunson and Cat. I would also say, like, if the Knicks did overcome Indiana, I think OKC would have done the same thing to him. I think out West Denver would have done the same thing to him. Even like a healthy Cavs team, I think would have done the same thing. Like, it's hard to hide 2 weak points on defense, like really hard, especially when it's your point guard and your center. So that's where I'm struggling with the Knicks. But overall, like they have a really complete roster.
Yeah. All right. I think, we should be winding down. I don't even know why I thought we could do this in an hour. There's 30 teams.
Yeah, I thought because I'm doing something similar on my channel. Shout out to the Hoop Talk podcast. And we split it up into East and West because we knew we weren't doing 30 in one episode.
Yeah.
And we did East last week. We're doing West tomorrow.
Our
Eastern Conference episode was 2 hours.
Well, if that's then we're still technically making cool time, though.
Yeah,
we're about to be done with all 30 teams. Okay, bet. Now, I do think I have one. I have one last team here, and that's going to be the Orlando Magic.
Oh, I thought you had them in title contenders. That's why I didn't say anything. Okay, cool.
No,
I agree.
No. I think that. Oddly enough, so this is what I'm saying about Orlando. I think they can make the finals, still have no shot at winning the chip. I don't think they're going to beat anybody out of the West. I just think they can get out the conference. So maybe that's where you were thinking, like, yeah, you heard me say they can make the finals, and yeah, they're not going to win a championship this year. Yeah, I don't plan on that whatsoever. But I do think that Orlando, due to their size, obviously their two best players getting a little bit better in Franz and Paolo. I obviously like the acquisition of Desmond Bane, adds an element of shooting that they desperately need. Now, Jordan brought up something to you about them as far as their pace, and that's also something I've been echoing for a long time since they got Desmond Bane. I think they should play very fast. They're going to get a lot of stops. They're going to rebound the basketball. They have a lot of good, solid ball handlers that can make decisions in transition. They need to run because they're not a great half court set offense. So to me, rebound, push, play in transition, rely on all of your really good ball handlers because all of them are good and can make quality decisions. And then in the half court, you lean on Franz and Paolo. And obviously, they're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league because they've been that for some time now. They've been pretty much you can bank on them being a top 10 defense and closer to 5 than 10 for sure. So I'm really high on Orlando. I think the East has an opening for them to make a conference appearance. However, I don't see them beating anybody who comes out the West, either whether that be OKC or Denver. So
yeah, I think that penciled in as a top 3 defense. I've been saying that for a while. I think OKC, Houston, and Orlando are the 3 best defenses in the NBA. The offense is just a big question mark for me. If they do play with pace, that can change. If they do shoot better than 32% from 3, that could change. But as of right now, the way I see this roster constructed, some of the weaknesses I see with their best players, projecting marginal improvement, sure. Projecting Franz to become a good 3-point shooter is tough for me to do. Projecting Paolo's shot selection to be entirely cleaned up is tough for me to do. My theory is that also, to some degree, Orlando just don't create good threes, which is why they don't shoot very well from 3. So that's also a problem in my opinion. So overall, I can see them being a team that's really hard to beat in the playoffs because of their defense. But I don't see this offense beating some of the more well-rounded two-way teams. When you come up against teams that are also elite on defense, but can actually put the ball in the basket consistently, I don't see an avenue for them being able to win. So that's why I'm fine with them being in this group.
Cool. And would you say, oh, you would still have them better than, the Knicks better than them, huh?
Yeah, I have the Knicks over them, but it's your challenge.
Yeah, move them to better than. Yeah, that's fine right there. I'm cool with that. The Knicks actually, now that I think about it, could beat Orlando in the series. Very interesting series. Last four now. All right, so it's your pick, correct? Who is your first pick for title contenders?
The least contendery. I think the team with the most question marks of these four is the Los Angeles Clippers.
Fair.
So I'm gonna put them here. I'm gonna start with why I think they're contenders, and then why I think they're the least contender. Why I think they're contenders, I don't think their roster has actually any flaws. I think they have playmaking. I think they have ball handlers. I think they have defense in multiple positions. I think they have size. I think they have depth. I think they have rebounding. I think they have play finishes. I think they have shooting. I think they have IQ. I think their roster. I think they have great coaching. I think their roster from top to bottom is one of the deepest, most well-constructed rosters on paper in the NBA. The reason why I think they're the least contendery is there's a major question mark in terms of injuries. Major question mark. Their best player is this side of Joel Embiid, the biggest injury question mark in the NBA. He's really good, but only played 37 games last year. He's healthy right now, but can we get a full regular season and a playoff run from Kawhi for the first time since, I'm going to give him 2021 because he played the season and then got hurt in the playoffs. I'm going to give him, for the first time in 4 years, I don't know. James Harden is the pinnacle of consistency in the regular season in terms of he's going to play. In the playoffs, you get the inconsistent games, and especially now he's more three-point reliant than ever, doesn't get to the rim, relies on his floater a lot more. So the inefficient scoring games are going to be there. The high turnover games are going to be there when he gets caught in a bind. Still a really good isolation scorer, still a really smart player, but the lows are still really low with James Harden. And in a playoff, in an 82-game season, you can live with the lows. In a condensed 7-game series, 2 games of really bad James Harden can be the difference between winning a series and losing a series. Then the age. Can I trust this team to play through an 82-game season and then play through the intensity of a playoff series, playoff run 4 series? I don't know. Brook Lopez is someone who we just watched in Milwaukee be unplayable in a first-round series against the Pacers. If we come up against a team that is spreading the floor, moving the ball really well, can Brook Lopez be playable in that series? If the answer is no, who's your backup big to Zubac? Are you going to John Collins? Are you going to Nick Batum? I don't know what the answer is there. That's another concern. Then is how do you get your best defenders all on the court at the same time without compromising shooting? Because if you want to have your best defense, you got to have Chris Dunn out there. You got to have Derrick Jones out there. The issue is when you have both of them out there, what's the shooting like? Because you're going to have Zoo on the court. We know that. Then it's really only Kawhi and James Harden who are reliable outside shooters. So how do you manage the lineup flexibility of getting your best defenders out there without compromising spacing? So although they have great depth, great versatility, how do you get that all synergized into one lineup? That's the question I have with the Clippers. Meanwhile, I don't have those same questions with the other 3 teams. So I'd have them as my 4th biggest contender. But I could definitely see an avenue in which they win a championship.
Now, the only thing I'm going to add, because I agree with everything you said, people think does this for me come with a tad bit of Kawhi troll? Absolutely. But I believe what I'm saying about the Clippers. This is a damn good roster. This is a really good team. I'm not trolling when I say that. And I think they should have championship aspirations. Now, I do.
Good pun.
Yeah. I think as far as a veteran-laden team, I think this is the perfect display of it. Meaning, I don't really think anybody on this team, because the roster is deep, needs to play more than 33, 34 minutes a game. Right. And then juxtapose it to the Warrior situation, who's also a very old team. I think they don't have to rely on all of their old players as much as the Warriors. I think like in Al Horford situation, like when he was in Boston, where he was able to like just sit games out because Boston was good enough to win games without Al Horford. They don't have that luxury in Golden State, whereas I think the Clippers do. You're right. I think there are going to be games where, like, oh yeah, Brooke Lopez doesn't have to play tonight for us to win. CP3 may not have to play tonight for us to win. And like I said, they don't have to play a substantial amount of minutes because the whole roster is so good. So if you are going to have a veteran team, I think this is the best case scenario. Deep team, so nobody has heavy minutes, and then deep team again to where everybody doesn't have to play the 82 games for us to be successful in the regular season. So that was the only thing I would add to that, to the Clippers. Next,
Oh, it got filled out for us.
sir.
Oh, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching. God damn. Okay.
What? Major. Where is Major at, bro?
Yeah, no pressure, but I have about 20 minutes.
Oh, I know. That's why I was finna just go ahead and do this fool, bro.
God damn, chat. We kind
Major,
of close,
bro. Because this is gonna be the clip. You messing it up, bro. This is gonna be the YouTube video because I know I couldn't post a 2.5-hour video, so I was just gonna do the title contenders. Dumbass. Damn.
You can't post a 2.5-hour video. Shit.
Now, my pick as far as the second best for this category, I would go Cleveland. Not the second best, second worst, excuse me.
Yeah.
Cleveland. For me, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I just don't number one, I just don't think they're as good as Denver and OKC. I still have problems with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell as a backcourt in the playoffs. I do like the addition of Lonzo Ball, however. I will say that. But DG is going to be their starting point guard, and they're going to be closing with DG and Donovan Mitchell on the court. Now, can a DG, Donovan, Lonzo lineup be available?
That's how they'll close games, I think.
Yeah,
they're
going to close. That's going to be interesting. However, number one, my biggest factor in not having Cleveland that good, I'm no longer a believer in Jared Allen. That's actually kind of my biggest gripe about this team. Once I saw him get outplayed thoroughly by Miles Turner in the playoff setting, I'm like, I don't know if Jared Allen is going to be the guy that you need him to be in a postseason setting. And then, of course, Darius Garland, we haven't seen him live up to his regular season expectations in the playoff setting as well. Now, you can attribute that to injury. That's fair, but I also think him just the lack of size, strength, can maybe be a problem in the playoffs. So we'll see. I'm a fan of Donovan Mitchell. I don't really think that Donovan Mitchell really has any problems in the playoffs outside of the scoring blinders from time to time. I do think he can get a little bit score heavy and become basically a ball hog. And then lastly, the offensive development of Evan Mobley. I'm in on it because I did see it last year and it translated into the postseason, in my opinion. D-Mitch probably should have went to him even more in the playoffs. So I am a believer in Evan Mobley and D-Mitch in the playoffs. However, the rest of that starting five, question marks for me in a playoff setting. And I also don't like that they lost Ty Jerome. And again, I'm bringing him up when I was like, oh, yeah, he's not even the top 100 player. But he was really good, and they lost him. So, yeah. And the health of Lonzo, obviously, is another concern.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with the Cavs third. To me, they're kind of like the Knicks in the fact that their two most important offensive players are their two biggest weak points on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have them on the court, especially in the playoffs a lot. In the regular season, it was fine because, to your point, they were so good that they just staggered Donovan Mitchell and Garland pretty much all the time. In the regular season, it was Garland and Allen, and then Mitchell and Mobley pretty much teaming up, and then they'd only play like 15 minutes together. But in the playoffs, you don't really have that same luxury. So it becomes a question for me. I'm not as low on Jared Allen as you are. I think a big, not a big reason. I think part of the reason why he looks so out of the game is because, quite frankly, he gets ignored by his two guard who goes on a tirade of shot chucking. But I do think that they are one of the best offensive teams in the NBA, and I do love the Lonzo Ball acquisition. I think they have some good defensive wings. I think I'm not as high on DeAndre Hunter's defense, but I do think he's a good wing defender. Like he can match up with the more physical wings in isolation. I'm not a big fan of his screen nav or his off the ball defense. But I do think he's viable. I like Dean Wade on defense, although he has offensive question marks. I think Max Strus competes really hard on defense. Isn't the best defender, but definitely isn't going to give you a lack of effort, and he isn't going to make too many mistakes. And Lonzo, I do think, is still one of the best guard defenders in the NBA, regardless of the injury stuff. The question is, can he be healthy, and how much can he bring you offensively? I do think the connective stuff is going to be there. Can he knock down 40% of his threes like he has done in the past? If he can, then I'm talking about this team really, really highly, and legitimately I can see them beating anyone. If he's shooting 35, 36%, I'm a bit lower on this team. But overall, I do think it's going to come down to health. Darius Garland has not been healthy in the playoffs in his career. Evan Mobley was hurt last year in the playoffs. Jarrett Allen was hurt in 2024. Like, can we see Donovan Mitchell got hurt this past year with his ankle and got hurt in 24? Can we see a run in which this team is healthy? I think that's the biggest question mark. And if you do, I think they are the favorites to come out of the East because this team is really, really talented. And the brand of basketball they play is amazing. So I really like this Cleveland team.
Agreed. All righty, down to the last two teams. Now one of them has the best player in the world, the best team he's ever had, and then we have the reigning defending champions. However, obviously I'm going to go with Denver here. Denver is going to be my second best team in the league. Pretty self-explanatory. They have Nikola Jokic. That's number 1, 2, and 3 for them. And I'm legit like Nikola Jokic is that good. Obviously, Jamal Murray looks very good in the preseason. They still have Aaron Gordon, who is also looking amazing. And if Aaron Gordon can get a little bit back to being the defender he was and the vertical threat mixed with the shooting, that's one of the best like role players in the league today. And just for modern basketball, a 4 who can shoot but also handle physicality on the inside defensively while still guard some wings on the perimeter and hit a 3 and finish a lob in the dunker spot. Like, that is such a quality role player. Yeah, and now he's even like scoring in isolation in the mid range in post ups. Like, Aaron Gordon is really good to me, and a very valuable player. And then obviously the acquisition of Cam Johnson, right? He's replacing MPJ. He's a better player than MPJ. He handles the ball better defensively, while still maintaining a lot of that shooting value. And then they got Bruce Brown back, who they're looking to add some defensive value to their team, can hit a corner 3 and do a little ball handling. And then Christian Brown in this preseason has shown that he's gotten better as a player. He's also handling the ball a little bit more. Already one of the best transition players in the entire league. And he can guard pretty much the 2s and 3s, maybe some 1s. To me, that's kind of more of what he struggles with, those like quicker players, and that's usually at the 1 position, but 2s and 3s he does a good job on. So yeah, they've and then Valanciunas. For me, when your best player is a center, you want one of 2 things, or really just the best player on your team. You want their backup to do 1 or 2 things. Either bring an aspect of the game that they don't, right? So I've always thought that the Denver's backup center should probably be a defensive oriented player. So to me, I always thought like, man, if they could get like a Robert Williams on their team when Jokic goes out, and now they kind of shift or tilt the balance in the other direction when Jokic is off the court, or you get a backup who obviously isn't as good, but you can assimilate a lot of what you do with your best player with them. And that's what they now have with Valanciunas, right? They're still going to be able to do the dribble handoff actions. He can pass out of the high post or, just at the top of the key. And so with that, they're going to be able to continue to play the same brand of basketball. Yeah, great screener as well. So they're going to be able to play the same brand of basketball when Nikola Jokic is off the court. And I think that's going to definitely benefit them because that is kind of what they've been struggling with the most throughout the years, right? Great when Nikola Jokic is on the court, fall off a cliff when he's not. I think Valanciunas can help balance that out.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with the Nuggets at 2. I agree with the Nuggets at 2. Jokic is kind of like, yeah, shout out to Jokic. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed, especially in preseason with what I've been watching, Jamal Murray looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big thing when it comes to the Nuggets. We know, obviously, when they won the championship in 23, Jamal Murray played at a top 10 level. I'm not saying he has to play at that level, but what I am saying is if you get a good Jamal Murray or consistent Jamal Murray, that raises the ceiling of this team exponentially. I think we've seen this team be good enough or competent enough on defense in the playoffs in enough runs to say that although obviously Jokic is not a great defender, Valanciunas is not a great defender, schematically, especially Jokic, can contribute within a team sense to a degree well enough where you're not bleeding major value on defense. And then offensively, obviously you got his playmaking, using him as a hub, the screening, the dribble handoffs, the scoring, all of that. Oh, great Jokic. That helps. Then you add a Cam Johnson, who I think is maybe he's not a better player than MPJ, but what he does bring is a level of consistency that I think MPJ was missing, and also value outside of his shot making. I think MPJ was very tied to whether or not his shot was falling, whereas I think Cam Johnson can make impacts in more ways than MPJ could. Whether that's his ability to run his own pick and rolls, whether his ability to drive a closeout and put the ball on the floor without picking up after one dribble, whether that is his ability to make passes, whether that's connective or off a closeout drive and kick, all of that stuff. All of those things add layers to an offense that wasn't predictable per se, but could be stifled, especially when you don't have a Jamal Murray at 100%. Also, Peyton Watson's looked really good in the preseason, taking on more ball handling responsibilities. I definitely did not foresee. But if we can translate that into the regular season, that's another player. And I agree with everything you said about Jonas Valanciunas. My only concern with the Denver Nuggets is the fact that, quite frankly, the team that is in first place is arguably the best defensive team we've ever seen.
No.
And that flaw, alongside having one of the best scorers I think the game has ever seen, combining that with a J-Dub, who I think is a really good offensive player, combining that with Chet, who I think is going to be closer to pre-hip injury Chet, that's projection, pre-hip injury Chet than he is going to be to post-hip injury Chet. I think it's a really tough team to go up against. I think this Denver Nuggets team would be seen as maybe the best team in the league in a few other years. I'm not going to say a lot of other years because the league's been talented throughout. But right now, they're just the second best team in their own conference because the best team is that good. So that's kind of how I view it.
I'm in agreement with you. And so obviously that leaves us number one being OKC, man. Simply put, the year to beat OKC to me was last year, and they didn't get beat. So they're all gonna like just that's really it. They're all gonna get better. You would hope so. They're a young team, young players. J-Dub gets a little bit better offensively. Chet gets a little bit better offensively. They have SGA, who is Mars said it, but he is truly one of the best scorers ever. The way he's able to get the shot that he wants over and over and over and over again is very impressive off the dribble, right? And then he's one of the best drivers in the league, one of the best finishers in the league, combining that with being one of the best mid-range shooters we've ever seen. And if he takes even a smidget of a leap as far as his passing and playmaking, we are now talking about, at least in my opinion, now we are talking about arguably the best player in the world. If Shea can be better as a passer, because that to me was his real hiccup in the playoffs. He did drop off as a scorer, but he just had some very bad reading defenses games, in my opinion. And if he improves upon that, now we're looking at a complete player because he can defend as well. Very great defender off the ball. So OKC, best defense ever, arguably. Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Chet, iHeart, J-Dub, Case and Wallace, all of them are still there. I anticipate them winning 65 plus games easily. I expect Shea to win the MVP. And if they so happen to have a good playoff shooting run, this can be one of the most dominant playoff runs we've ever seen in NBA history. I truly believe that. I just do not think that there's any team in the league currently that can give you 4 good offensive games against this team in a 2-week setting. So that's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, not to alarm anyone, but Shea missed 4 shots in preseason.
Yeah.
And it's not like he was just, he was 4 for 8, he barely played. He was 20 of 24.
Right.
Yeah, that man could score the ball. Nah, I don't know what to tell you. That man could score the hell out of the ball. So starting with Shea, obviously, as he is the head of the snake. I think away from the scoring, and we all know how special that is, his ability to draw fouls, make mid-range shots at an elite clip. One of the best drivers, if not the best driver in the sport, especially from the perimeter. Elite handle, great elusiveness, good first step, but elite deceleration and change of pace and balance and all of that good stuff. The fact that he controls the possession game on a team like OKC that forces the most turnovers in the NBA, a guy like Shea who can have the ball in his hands as much as he does and turn it over as little as he does, while also being the defensive playmaker that he is like game breaking in the sense that you're getting maybe 2-3 turnovers a game from Shea. Meanwhile, your team is forcing 14. Like, you're just winning games off that alone. Then you get one of the most efficient volume scorers you've ever
That's why
seen.
his net rating is the way it is.
Exactly. And one of the most consistent scorers you've ever seen. I think he scored less than 20 once last year, or maybe twice. Like, that level of consistency on a game-to-game basis. Not to mention, the biggest reason why you can get the Shea plus a bunch of defensive lineups is because he's able to floor raise an offense by himself. You can put him out there with Ludor, Caruso, Chet, and iHeart and say, we don't need to worry about the offense. And these guys are just going to have the best defense and we're going to have a 120 offensive rating because we have this uber efficient scorer. And then you have the flexibility to go in the non-Shea minutes, which aren't as dominant, but then you go J-Dub, Chet, Kaysen, Caruso, wherever you want to go. And it's like, we got defense at every position. We're going to force turnovers and run in transition. The half court can be shaky, but J-Dub can hold us, keep us afloat. And then we're still going to run you off the court anyway. It's a team that doesn't really have many flaws. The biggest flaw is obviously the outside shooting. And we saw that in this past postseason when they shot like 33% from 3. They still ultimately won, but they got pushed to 7 a couple times. Many will argue that if Denver was healthy, they could have beat them. But if this OKC team can knock down the 3 with consistency, it's really tough to beat them 4 times in 7 games. And also, I agree with the not the tunnel vision, but the Shea playmaking point, because I had many issues, especially in the finals, with Shea's playmaking. But one thing I will say about Shea is once he sees a defense 2 or 3 times,
he adapts.
He figures it out. And then you start seeing the playmaking really show. Like even in game 7 last year, I think he had 12 assists. Against Denver, once he started figuring out that zone, you started seeing him really get comfortable. So that's the thing. The longer a series goes against OKC, the more Shea starts to adjust, and that becomes a problem. And I just think OKC are really good. Do I think they're a foregone conclusion to win the title? No, for reasons such as I think Denver are really good. I think Denver showed that last year they could really compete with OKC. I also do have questions about OKC's outside shooting. And I'm also not entirely convinced that Chet's going to be the level of offensive player I think he can be, which I do think is a concern. So there are concerns with OKC, but ultimately I do view them as the most flawless team in the NBA. Not saying they are flawless, but the least flawed team in the NBA. So I would have them as my number 1 title contenders.
Absolutely. And to your floor raising point, it's not only is because he's efficient, it's he doesn't really need too much involvement from others. Like he can get his shot whenever he wants to off the dribble. And that is, I really don't think we really haven't really seen anything like that before. Not like, especially from the mid range. Now, if you want to say James Harden, absolutely. Yeah. I definitely get that, the James Harden, but like somebody who can just so regularly bing, 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 get to a mid range shot, shoulder bump, good. It's like he can do that it seems like every play, if he wants, it's actually amazing to watch. And like you just said, he missed 4 shots in the preseason. He does this regularly and routinely. So it's like, yeah, I don't like juxtaposed with Steph Curry, which I need like, oh, high IQ players around me. It's like, no, just stand around. Somebody set a pick maybe every once in a while, and then just watch me. And
He
it
don't
works.
even need the screen. Yeah, he don't even need the
Exactly.
screen. That's like he doesn't need to bring extra defenders if he doesn't want to. And then if you
Yep.
are tilting your defense without the screen, then there's advantages elsewhere. And he might not find it in the first game, but the second and third game, he's going to start finding them. And if he does at that point where he's able to diagnose defenses within the game, then you get to the point where we are talking about a frankly unstoppable offensive player. And it's not gonna, maybe he's not gonna average 34, 9, and 8 like some other people. No disrespect to Luka Doncic. I know that was pretty much his exact stat line. I didn't mean that. But like he's going to carve up defenses without having 12 assist games. He can just do that if he gets to that level. And if he does, then we're talking about maybe the best player in the world. So yeah, OKC, number 1. For me.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate y'all for sticking around. YouTube. Shout out to the where were we over here? 160 plus. Again, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe. I appreciate my bestest of friend. Not only did he just find out we're good friends, we're bestest of friend. Mars talks hoop, man. I know you have another engagement that you have to get to over there at Fat Man's platform. So
yeah,
you
the
know,
other one. Yeah, the other one.
Yeah. The other one. So you enjoy yourself over there, but I definitely appreciate you pulling up and ranking these teams with me.
Thank you for having me, man. It was the longest hour I've ever been a part of. But hey,
Tell the folks where they can find you also.
You can find me on YouTube at Mars Talk Sports. We go live every Sunday for the Hoop Talk podcast. And if you want to find me in a more fun-loving environment, you can find me on Player's Choice Monday through Friday, which is what is it? What time is it over there? 1 Eastern? Is it 1 East? What time does Player's Choice start? 11 Eastern. Thank you. 11 Eastern. 11 to 2 Eastern. 8 Pacific. There you go. Thank you very much. That's where you can find me. But once again, thank you, Roto, for having me, man. I had a great time.
No problem. Thank you for coming again. And shout out to everybody in chat, in the playback. If you're not a member of the room, make sure you become a member of the room. Hit that notification bell so you know when we're live. And also, again, over there on the YouTube, make sure that you like the stream, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, it's been real.